wow, that's cute.
No,
Who was that? Was that you, Trey?
yeah, that's what I was saying. I can't mute it until you go live.
You can always mute tab on your. You can always mute the that site. Anyway, I'm not done with this.
Okay.
People love this jam. You gotta let it play for a second.
Hey, you can mute tabs. I just right click the tab. I just learned something new, ladies and gentlemen. Yes.
How's it going, everybody? You're gonna see us in a hot second here. Just getting last looks. Getting my makeup on.
God, I freaked out for a second because Amit Agrawal was like, "What's cracking, baby?" And then because you were saying earlier, Syntell, that like the audio was cracking or something, I was like, "No,
All right.
no more technical difficulties, please."
Let me live.
Boom. Why did it look different? That looks fine. All right, cool. Y'all have no idea how stressful it was to get this shit up and running. So, we're here. We're here to talk about Thor: Love and Thunder. Presumably, you guys have watched the film at least once or twice, like Achara and I did. Syntell just watched it yesterday. Correct?
Yep.
Or was it Friday? No, you watched it Friday.
Friday, yeah.
And I have not talked to you at all about your feelings about the movie. Now, just for full disclosure, so what we're going to do is like talk about our feelings, but we are going to pull a lot from the chat, and super chats will get priority. Not that we are counting on super chats, but it's always welcome. Anyway, yeah, so I am very excited actually to hear what you have to say about Thor: Love and Thunder. Just quick overview of your feelings about the movie. Go ahead, man.
Taika Waititi don't give a damn about what y'all think, and I love him for it.
Yeah.
This is not the regular Thor that you used to. The very first Thor is a very good one, but this ain't him. Taika Waititi is the type of person. You remember when you was a kid, if you had a big sister or a little sister or somebody that used to play with Barbies, and they would take your Transformers and your G.I. Joe and make them play with the Barbies, and you'd be mad. You're like, you're not supposed to play with my toys like that.
Yeah.
But you played with them anyways, and you ended up having fun.
Yeah.
That's Taika Waititi.
Okay.
I love this movie.
Okay. So, just so you know, sometimes you get a little muffled sometimes. I'm not sure if that's a filter or some kind. Like, you're very, very clear, and then it goes just every now and then. Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about. But anyway, I rewatched Thor Ragnarok last night while folding laundry, and I watched Thor's bits from Avengers Infinity War, and I watched Thor's bits from Avengers Endgame until I fell asleep on the couch. And I will say this. Having rewatched Thor Ragnarok, because there was a lot of questions about what's better between Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder. And initially, after watching Thor Love and Thunder the second time, I'm like, I think this might be the better movie. But that was going off of my memory of Thor Ragnarok, which was old. Like, I hadn't seen it in a while. And so watching it last night and having a fresh comparison of the two in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I think Thor Ragnarok is actually the superior film. Like, overall, it's a much better movie. But the thing about Thor Love and Thunder is, like you just said, it doesn't give a shit about anything else. It's not trying to adhere to consistency. It's not trying to adhere to the previous film even. It's just like, what can we do with this character now and just have fun with it? That's all it cares about. It's just like popcorn fun and nothing more. It's not deep. It's like there are deep elements in terms of what you can take with it if you want, take from it if you want, like learning how to let go, learning how to heal, learning how to evolve and all that stuff. That's there, but it's tenuous at best. Having thought about it more, it's like there are emotional moments in the film, but
yeah, I cried both times.
But it's not. I don't think it actually. If you look at it as a movie, just as a movie, Thor Ragnarok's a better movie. This is more of just an experience. It's just a fun experience.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it does.
Yeah.
I think Taika knows. He's like, do you want to be right or do you want to have fun?
Yeah.
If you want to be right, then you go about the normal, dogma and stick to the script of what the MCU has put out before us. But if you want to have fun, then we gonna shake stuff up a lot.
Yeah. No, I think what you said when you were like, oh, Taika doesn't give a damn about what we want. He's just doing what he wants, and like watching interviews with him and all that. I'm obsessed with him. Like, I think he's so cool, and part of that is part of that is because of the sheer fact that he's just like, I'll just do me. Like, and he's not even apologetic about it. He's like, I play the same character in every single movie, and I'm super successful.
Yeah.
So what? You know? And,
So-
and I have a lot of respect for that.
There's an inconsistency between Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder, and it just shows you how little Taika Waititi cares. So when we are introduced to Korg in Thor Ragnarok, Thor asks him, "Hey, how did you end up here?" And Korg goes, "Oh, I tried to start a revolution or something like that, and but no one showed up. I didn't put out enough flyers. The only person who showed up was my mom and her boyfriend." So it establishes that Korg has a female mother, right? It's kind of redundant. But then in the new one, in Thor Love and Thunder, he says, "My dad and my other dad." I'm like, wait, okay. He expressed a heteronormative situation, and then he expressed a homosexual situation in the new film, and it's retconning that little tiny thing, but it's like, that's how little he cares. He's like, well, this is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, that's what you're gonna do.
Yeah, I've been perusing a few forums and stuff, and hardcores aren't fans of it. And I can see why, because he's not playing by your rules. But for what Disney wants, and that is how many butts can we get in the seats? How many people that aren't attached to the lore can we just halfway satisfy but appease a larger audience? I mean, Taika's perfect for that. He does that. It's a fun movie. Like, even though like there's a lot of battling and semi-death per se, it's a family movie. It's not really anything that's really so far over the top that children can't watch. He hit that absolute perfect, cozy, chewy center of cinematic goodness. It's just a great pick for Disney.
Hey, I'm gonna fix something real quick. I realize why I'm having issues with your audio. It's on my side. Give me 1 second. Okay, can you talk to us, Syntell?
Yeah, so for me, I'm looking
better.
forward to his next projects because he's got a couple other things lined up, but we'll talk about that at a later time. What's this audio situation?
Can you hear us okay still?
Oh yeah, I hear you perfectly.
Okay,
man.
great. I fixed it. Okay, cool. Yeah. So we have a super chat, and it is from. Let me see. I can't see it or just yet. Syntell's covering it with a big fat body. Let me see. Hold on.
Hey man.
Hey, stop body shaming him.
Okay,
God.
there we go. So we have a.
It inspires.
A Desai says, "Welcome to Javengers." She's a member of this channel. And then Bishrup Day. What's the super easy moment? Oh gosh, I feel like there was the weirdest one had nothing to do with the protagonist. It had to do with the antagonist, which is Gore the God Butcher. When they go to Gore the God Butcher's place where he's most powerful, right?
Yeah.
And they already know what he wants is the axe.
Yeah.
Okay? So when Thor summons the axe, it's weird to me that when they get free, he doesn't just toss the axe again. He uses it for battle. Okay? And then and so after that, Gorr disappears. He's known to disappear and reappear at will. He's known to do this a lot. And Thor's like, well, he's gone. Let's go. And then he uses the axe, and then Gorr takes it. It's like, bruh, what did you think was going to happen? Like, honestly, did you not think he was going to pop up like Raiden in Mortal Kombat? Like, that's what I was fully expecting. I was fully expecting him to show up out of nowhere and grab your axe. Even Courtney watched it with us, and when that happened, she just threw her arms up. She was so frustrated in that moment because it was like, this is such an obvious thing. Like, how did you? But the thing is, the plot needs to go in the direction it needs to go, and so that's the way they went about it. I'm like, I feel like they could have handled that a little bit better.
Jonathan Gaia says the child army scene was so great, but probably the super easy moment. I think I agree with you. I freaking loved that scene. Just because I was imagining myself as a kid watching the movie and like being able to see other little kids get powered up and then have this badass, stupid, silly fight, which was just so Taika to me. I was like, yes! But also, yeah, it was definitely for the kids. I almost feel like there were definitely moments where Taika Waititi had maybe his children or just children in general in mind, where he's like,
apparently his kids drew the monsters.
this will be super
I
nice.
heard about that rumor, right? I don't know how factual that is, but I heard that. Which is fine because they're shadow monsters, right?
Yeah.
They don't really have to be the most accurate of creatures.
In Star Wars, George Lucas's kids named a lot of the creatures.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of the names
Why
came from his
not?
kids. But yeah, I mean, the kids thing.
Rodriguez did it too with Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Like his kids actually wrote the script. So, I mean,
So,
you know.
We have a super real quick. It's from A Disay. It could be the situation where the birthing, creating parent may be different than the actual parents or a non-binary situation. Maybe. I mean,
I think they just forgot that they said that in Thor Ragnarok.
I don't think Taika Waititi pays attention to anything else. He doesn't feel like it. Like he literally asked Natalie Portman, "Hey, would you? I'm gonna do a Star Wars movie. Would you like to be in it? Would you like to be in a Star Wars movie?" And she goes,
No,
Really?
he
She
asked
goes-
her,
and she
"Have you
goes-
ever been in a Star Wars movie?"
Charles, may I? And so she literally says straight up, "I've been in 3 Star Wars films." And he goes, "Oh, okay. So how do you want to do this next scene?" It just changes the convo completely.
He's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about those."
Okay, so regarding the kids at the end of the movie, I like, admittedly, I got swept up in that too. Like, I thought it was a lot of fun. Like, it just went balls to the wall insane, and it was a joy to watch. Especially the girl with the bunny, and, you know, when she was shocking people with that. That was cool, right? I'm of two minds about it because while I enjoyed it in the moment, it undercuts the tension completely in the film. There is literally no tension in this movie whatsoever, except for maybe the scene when they're sort of hogtied in Gorr's dimension. Like,
in the Shadow Realm.
Like in the Shadow Realm. Like, that was the only scene where there was maybe some tension because the good guys were caught for a second. But if you watch the film a second time, you'll see that there is literally no opposition in this movie at all for Thor or his team. Whenever they fight, they just blow through everybody like it's Zack Snyder's 300. Like, over and over again. Every time there's a fight, Thor and his team just blow through everybody. No setbacks.
Well, it's because the storytelling isn't based around fighting, even though this is an action movie. The storytelling is based around relationships.
Yeah.
And there is tension in where the through line of where the story is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what you do with love. Love can be the enemy if you let it take control of you, hence Gorr. You know, love can absolutely twist you into a person that you no longer recognize, hence Thor. You know, so that there was tension in those moments, and he hit those tones well. But as far as like fighting, the fighting is just the icing on the cake. But the heart of the movie is about relationships, and he did that.
And I think that's why I liked it so much as well, because I connected with that a lot more, whereas I wasn't really having that connection in Ragnarok, which for me was just like jokes.
Well, okay, so that's the thing. Watching Ragnarok again, there was actually more jokes in Thor: Love and Thunder than there was in Ragnarok.
Funny, okay.
That's what I learned, because like my experience with Ragnarok was there's like jokes every second. Like, it's just jokes up the wazoo. But here there was actually way more jokes. Like, every other line was a joke in this movie, right? Mm-hmm. And additionally, what you were saying, like the action in Thor Ragnarok did exactly what I was telling you a second ago, where there was actually like this tension going on. There was actually like the what's her name? Hela? Is that her name?
Yeah, his sister?
Yeah,
His sister Hela. Like, when you see her, she does serious damage. Like, you see her completely destroy Asgard, their army, you know, and resurrect the dead. Like, she is a very formidable adversary, and all the way up to the end. And Thor is taking L after L in that movie, basically like Die Hard, you know. John McClane loses an eye even. Like, his losses are so strong in that movie, and he barely makes it out unscathed and barely wins at the end. And that's how you should make a movie, is where your hero is fighting to get to victory, as opposed to just blowing through every single army. Like, even the fight at the end between him and Gore the God Butcher, it wasn't really a fight. It's like 2 exchanges, and then Thor's down for the count. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, I don't understand this fight. And so Gore the God Butcher We don't see him butcher any gods except for the first one, and then when then Thor's like buddy's dead, the big god.
Yeah.
We don't actually have a connection with that character. I don't have a connection with that character.
Yeah.
Like the one that's straight from the comic book panel. You know what I'm talking about? Where Lady Sif was. Like, we don't know why that god was important. We don't see any gods in this film that are worth saving. And so I don't connect with Thor's mission in the movie, whereas in Thor Ragnarok, like, he's trying to save Asgard. He's trying to save Asgardians. And you see that they're in peril. You see what's his name from The Wire?
Oh, Idris Elba.
Idris Elba, like
Heimdall.
trying to save everybody. Like, you see the peril. It's like, it's very real. As opposed to Joke Central in Thor Love and Thunder. But I did enjoy a lot of the humor in Thor Love and Thunder. Like, I loved Russell Crowe as Zeus. I thought he was great. You know, it was like, come to the stage. Oh, where do you want me to go? The area that looks like a stage. Like, I thought he was hilarious. You know, I thought Russell Crowe did a great job. And Court was like a little bit annoyed about his accent. I looked at a comment on Jeremy Johns' YouTube video, because he was ripping into Thor Love and Thunder, and someone from Greece was like, actually, I thought he did a great accent.
Yeah. Hello.
So-
Have you not watched My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Yeah.
I had just one small comment regarding like about the through line of where Taika chose what energy, where he wanted to put your heart and where he wanted you to put you in peril. And I think there's a perfect scene that talks about what you're saying is how Taika didn't give a damn about a storytelling through the fights. And they actually have his meeting with his long lost love in the middle of a fight. There's shadow monsters all over the place. Kids are getting snatched up. But they're having a moment like, wow, I haven't seen you in a while. And he meets other love in his life,
Sure.
Mjolnir. Like, there's a relationship with his hammer. Like, Taika didn't give a damn about that fight scene. It wasn't about that fight scene.
Yeah.
It was about him meeting Jane Foster and then meeting Mjolnir again and then having that awkward moment. It's not about the fights.
Yeah. No, I think I agree with you
Yeah.
on that one.
You can't have everything in a movie that you want, is what I learned watching Thor Love and Thunder. You just can't have it all. That's what I came out with. It was like, there's a lot of good stuff here, but there's like other good stuff I would have wanted, but you can't have it all. You know?
Well, yeah, and I think it's like maybe Syntell and I connected more with the emotional aspect.
Oh
of
no,
the
I
story.
connected with the emotional aspect of the story. I can connect with the movie just fine, but objectively say what's wrong with it.
No, yeah, I'm
You
not.
know?
I'm not saying that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't finish. Like, maybe we're connecting more with that, so we're a little bit more forgiving of
Oh.
the fact that, you know, it didn't hit all of the notes that you wanted to see fight scene wise, because, you know, we're just enjoying that, just the story and relationship. And
Yeah,
stuff.
the big complaint that people have about Marvel films, this movie takes it to an extreme. And that complaint is, it was a seed planted by Joss Whedon, which is, for God's sake, tell a joke.
Okay.
You know, and because Joss Whedon set the tone for Marvel, and so it's like joke up the wazoo, and like it went to an extreme here to the point that we're sacrificing Thor's arcs from the previous movies.
Sure.
Like he used Stormbreaker to go through the roof of that Asgard meeting area because it's funny.
Yeah.
But he's destroying property there, when in previous films he would move away from everybody to use Mjolnir to get away, because what he's creating is destructive. The portal's destructive, and he knows this, and yet he just does it. And Asgard's already suffered a lot, and then he's destroying the roof of their conference building. It doesn't make any sense, but it's funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it goes against his character, but it's funny.
I think Taika tells us through some of his scene work and his directing how much he doesn't give a damn.
Yeah.
And perfect example is Asgard. He literally turned Asgard into Disney World. Like, it is a destination spot where people go to have fun and enjoy the carnival ride.
Sure.
Like, so, I mean, he's letting you know, he's like, this ain't about all of that crap that you think and love and behold before. And this Thor is a completely, absolutely different Thor than the very first movie. They might as well be in two totally different universes between Ragnarok and Love and Thunder and the very first one and Dark World. I think that's the second one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you have to get to a point where I say this all the time. Do you want to be right or do you want to have fun?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's difficult to share that same space with the same amount of energy on a budget. And Taika chose to go the latter.
Yeah. We got some supers we got to acknowledge real quick here. So, Shay, all the jokes were cool and everything, but it got kind of exhausting, especially the goat screams. So I think, Shay, if you watch the movie a second time, you will enjoy it more because you're expecting it. I had that same exact experience you're expressing with Thor Ragnarok. The first time I watched it, I found the jokes to be kind of exhausting. But then I watched it again fully expecting the jokes, and I had more fun with it. The one joke that still bothers me every time I watch Ragnarok is the second time that Thor is spinning around on the chains.
Yeah.
The second time he spins around and goes, oh, wait. Okay, I can't see you. And I'm like, you did the joke already.
Yeah.
Stop. You did the joke once. Don't play it again. Outside of that joke, I feel like I was able to really enjoy the film again. Like, with, more than my experience watching it the first time is what I'm trying to say. And so watching Thor Love and Thunder a second time, I actually was able to appreciate the jokes even more because I wasn't expecting what I wanted the first time around. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so Day fight between Gorr and Thor felt weird because alone Gorr was scary, but Thor looks super yoked than Gorr, so not much of a threat. I don't think the size matters in terms of threat. I don't think that's a determining factor. What do you think?
Oh, who are you asking?
Anybody, yeah.
Oh, I think that the terror of Gorr is the sword more so than Gorr himself. Is that if you get touched with that sword, it's a wrap. You're not coming back. So I think, Gorr is just wielding a dangerous tool based off of his emotional distraught. I sound like a damn psychiatrist right now.
Yeah. No, but it's true.
Well, I think that Gorr's performance from Christian Bale is what made him so scary. Like his ability to move like Raiden, and through the shadows and whatnot, and disappear and reappear, and the way he was able to trap Thor right away.
Yeah.
Like he was able to tie up Thor, and he almost got him. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To me, that was scary. Like his performance is what made him so frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just need to say that the goats were the goat. Like, I freaking love the goats. I'm sorry. David Bailey's all like, my wife loved the goats. Maybe it's a girl thing. Courtney and I loved the goats.
I thought the goats were fine.
I
didn't. I thought they were funny.
I thought they were hilarious.
I was scared that they were going to overstay their welcome, but I thought they were actually amusing.
It was a throwback to the old video that went viral maybe about 7-8 years ago with all the screaming goats, and nobody knew that was a thing. Nobody knew goats screamed, right? Until that video came out, and then it trended and blew up. And now Taika was like, "Hey, you remember that old joke about 10 years ago? It's back!" And it stuck in the land, and it was great.
And Mr. Indian Bean. I'd rather watch Jojo Rabbit than this movie. I haven't finished Jojo Rabbit. I fell asleep in the beginning of it because I was tired when I started watching it. I'm going to go back and watch it again properly.
It's a great film.
Cuckoo-chickoo. Meow meow.
Meow meow.
What happened here? That's where I want to be. So there was someone who was asking a question here. If you guys didn't get your questions answered,
there was a question about like, what do you think that Thor is getting funnier and funnier, but doesn't he need a little bit of seriousness as well?
Well, that's Taika Waititi's approach to storytelling. It's just sort of goofing off. It's not meant to be deep. That's the thing. It's like, while there might be emotional beats, it's not meant to be deep.
Yeah.
That being said, there was some interesting overlap because I wrote it down, and I think that someone had mentioned, was Bobby Wright, I think, had mentioned that something I expressed was something Jeremy Jahns expressed. And I did watch his reviews yesterday, and so some of my thoughts actually came from him. But like, I didn't agree with everything he was saying because it seems like Jeremy Jahns kind of hated the movie. I actually really enjoyed it, so I can complain about it while enjoying it.
Yeah.
But there was something interesting where, and I don't know if he said it or if this came from us talking, but Gore the God Butcher and Jane are both using something that is killing themselves for love.
Yeah.
Like, they're both. There's a parallel there that's interesting, and I don't know what the movie's trying to say or what Taika Waititi's trying to say there, but it's like you're doing this thing because of someone you love, and it's killing you at the same time. I'm not sure what the messaging is there, but it's interesting that they're both both of them are going through the exact same thing.
I don't know if Jane is using Mjolnir because she loves Thor. I think it's because she wants to live and continue.
She used it to save Thor.
Okay, fine, fair.
Yeah, like she knew she was gonna die.
Right, but in the beginning, her using it wasn't because she loved Thor. You know what I mean? She's just trying to not die of cancer.
So, how did you feel about the... I was trying to like kind of rewrite the plot for myself. Mm-hmm. And when it came to that moment where the Guardians of the Galaxy had to go separate from Thor,
Yeah.
I realized that I didn't really buy them departing from each other. Like, I didn't really understand why they had to, other than Quill wanted to get away from him.
Yeah.
That's all I got from that scene, was Quill was done with Thor.
Honestly, having watched it twice, the Guardians just didn't really leave much of an impression on me. I'm like, oh wait, they were in the movie, weren't they?
But why did they have to separate?
Oh, why did they have to separate?
Yeah.
Because Quill was of it. I mean, and Thor has been literally stealing his thunder since he showed up.
Yeah.
And he wants his family back, you know? And he's like, yo, get off the ship. You gotta go do your other thing. And he had an opportunity to skedaddle, and he did.
Yeah.
So,
it was just a little bit disappointing insofar as I was actually looking forward to seeing a film with Thor and the Guardians. Like, I thought that was going to be a fun, interesting movie. It's like they're at odds with each other. They have this weird relationship with each other, and I was looking forward to a movie with that.
Right.
And we're never going to get it. Like, that's just not coming. You know, we got pieces of it in Endgame, and we got a piece of it here, and that's it. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what kind of made me sad about that. But anyway,
I don't know if I want Taika to take control of the Guardians' humor. I like Taika. I'm a huge fan of Taika. But I think I'd rather have Gunn do Guardians and see it from the Guardians.
Sure.
Sure.
So I get, since I'm okay with it a little bit.
Yeah. Did you know the original cut was 4 hours long?
What?
Whoa.
It was something like that. It was like a 3 or 4 hour cut, and
Wow.
they trimmed it down to 2 hours. Now, lots of movies are really long on their initial cut. This is very common. I mean, for instance, Titanic was like 4.5 hours or something in its first cut, and you got it down to 3. Like, this is a common thing that happens where you have a really long. Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, same thing. It was like a 3.5 hour cut or something, and they got it down to 2 hours and 20 minutes or something. Mm-hmm. So it's common, but it doesn't make me wonder what the hell's missing.
I reckon it was probably a lot more jokes.
That's true.
That's what I think. Because I feel like this cut, it was very tight.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I watched the movie, especially the beginning, I was like, whoa, this is moving fast. This is like just hitting all the beats and showing you everything. And like, okay, we're moving on until we get to like the main part of the story. Mm-hmm. So I reckon it was probably a bunch of jokes or something, because it didn't feel like things were missing.
Improv?
Whereas with Multiverse of Madness, you could feel the things that were missing. Mm-hmm. You know.
What were you going to say, Syntell?
I think you hit the nail right on the head, because from my understanding, Taika is an improv director. Mm-hmm. You know, he lets his actors just work in the space, and then he'll just capture the moment, and that takes up a lot of time, a lot. And you just let actors just work. So I could that would be a really good reason as to why, you know, it was so long.
Hathim1221 says Hela did more damage than Gorr did, but Gorr was an intimidating villain. I think Gorr was more intimidating in terms of his performance. I thought that, like, I liked him more as a villain than Hela. I just wish that we saw him do more, because he was mostly off camera. It's like everyone in Omnipotent City was afraid of Gore the God Butcher, but I'm like, why? What? I didn't see much. I saw him take down the first god in the movie, and then I saw him take down the big old god that Thor was...
You didn't see him take him down, though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
you just
exactly.
saw the aftermath.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. The aftermath of the second one.
Yeah.
We didn't see a whole lot of that.
Oh, and he also cut off Sif's arm or something. Which, also, Sif, what the hell, man? Like, she's this one character from the movies that keeps coming back, and I'm just like, but she never really... What are you doing with her? Mm-hmm. She could have just not been here and it would have been fine. It was almost like they put her in to be like, hey, Thor's got friends from the old movies, and let's throw her in there for a second and have like a kind of quirky scene with her, and then just show her again at the end. Like, why though?
Well, I mean, we've seen what Taika's done with some of the previous characters in the universe.
They all
Just
died.
threw them away like rag dogs. I don't want to play with this story
Yeah.
anymore. So,
Yeah.
Dead.
Just one more example of how Taika is telling you about what the tone of this is going to be. And
Yeah.
you brought her in to, take her out.
Yeah. I was just like, okay, why?
But see, the flip side of that is funny too, because on the flip side of that, there was a character that could have had some arc and development, and it was just thrown away. But yet he totally gave life to a character that I didn't give two damns about, and that was Jane Foster. Up until this movie, I didn't give a damn about Jane Foster. Every time she came on the screen, it was almost like an eye roll. I cared about Jane Foster in this movie. He breathed a whole lot of life into her, and Natalie Portman took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
So on one end, he tosses one, but then on the other, he absolutely, gives all the time and proper respect in order to make Jane Foster relevant.
I just added a poll for you guys. I wanted to know how you felt about the intro of Thor into Love and Thunder when he pulls Stormbreaker out of the ground. Because, not to beat a dead horse, but like referencing Jeremy Jahns, he hated that moment, or at least it seemed to me that he didn't like it, where Thor pulls Stormbreaker out and rides Stormbreaker like a witch down to the battle. Huh? You didn't get it?
I mean, I get that he's riding it like a witch, but is there like a deeper meaning behind
No.
it?
There was no. It's just a joke. It's just a joke.
That joke missed me.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't get it.
To me, I thought it was hilarious because he's writing it like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like that's the joke. It's like it's the unexpected. You're expecting him to like take the axe and fly, but he puts it between his crotch and rides it like a broom. That's the joke because it's wood. So like it's to me it's hilarious, but he didn't like that because it's just set the tone for joke after joke after joke. But like that joke worked on me, and it worked on me the second time I watched the movie too.
Oh, yeah, because it just came out of left field for me, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that. That's so silly and funny.
I thought Stormbreaker growing roots was funnier to me than the broomstick. I laughed at that. I was like, damn, you really planted this damn man.
Another complaint of his was the constant jokes about Thor missing Mjolnir but having to deal with Stormbreaker being the current girlfriend. Who was like, "What you doing? Why are you looking over there?"
The way Stormbreaker crept up on him.
Yeah.
Also.
I thought that was great. I love that. I liked all of those jokes. I thought that was great. To me, it was funny.
Yeah.
So we got a. Let me see. We got some supers here. I gotta acknowledge. Common guy. I feel like Ragnarok. I feel like people like Ragnarok more as it's different from previous films. Execution aside, I felt this had more emotional meat to offer. Love you all, by the way. I think, having watched Ragnarok again, there are emotional beats in there, actually. If you watch it again, there's emotional stuff. It has to do with his dad.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is present to the end of the movie. I was like, oh, shit, like, this is actually, there's stuff that's there that's worthwhile if you watch it again. Kartik Sharma. Gorr, call the ex. Thor, right after you call a dentist. That was funny.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. Yeah. like, it's an unexpected moment. Like, why would you say that in that moment?
Yeah. It's silly.
Anish. Thank you for your generous super. I love the CGI and VFX in this movie. Christian Bale's performance was insane. I bought all the characters. Thor's been dumb. I don't know why people are tripping about it now. Great movie. Will repeat in IMAX. So I personally don't feel like I need to watch this in IMAX to enjoy it. I feel like the 2:3:9 aspect ratio is adequate for me. Marvel's IMAX doesn't really enhance the movies for me. Ever. Marvel's IMAX is not even real IMAX. So it doesn't help. But that's cool that you're going to go out and watch it in IMAX and enjoy it that way. As far as the CGI goes, the first time I watched it, I didn't think about it too much. Having watched it a second time, there are some very blatantly bad CGI moments. It's just like
a couple. I caught a couple.
There's some CGI moments where I'm like, oh, that looks like a cartoon flying around, but I guess they're moving fast enough. It's fine. Moving on. Whatever. Where like Jane comes down with the hammer or Thor comes down with the axe, and it's like it looks like Matrix Reloaded Neo fighting Agent Smiths. Like that level of CGI. Like we're back in the early 2000s again. I'm like, I don't know why Marvel doesn't spend the money to like fine-tune all that stuff. I guess they're like, well, people will just accept it. We can move on.
Yeah.
But
sometimes good is good enough. Let's go.
A niche to what you're saying about Christian Bale's performance. It's been well overstated. I loved Christian Bale in this movie. I thought he was one of the best MCU villains ever. Just hands down, one of the best. In terms of his performance, I thought he was one of the best MCU villains of all time. What about you, Syntell?
Oh yeah, I think he was probably one of the best in show regarding it. I mean, he's kind of like been taking shots ever since, you know, he had his thunder stolen in Batman and hasn't really been able to get it back on a respectable kind of level. And I think he's out of that shadow now with this performance.
Yeah. As far as Thor being dumb, I mean, he's been dumb like the entire franchise. He's been like Joey, right? I think they made him more dumb for the sake of jokes.
Yeah.
But it worked for the tone that they were striking with this movie. There's this expectation of consistency between films, and you have to let that go if you're going to enjoy Thor. You just have to let it go. If you're expecting 100% consistency, you're going to be mad.
Well, it's changed so much with each movie.
You're going to be mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I personally, I would have watched this. I would have enjoyed it even more if Thor was Fat Thor. Like, I love Fat Thor.
That would have been brilliant.
Yeah.
That would have been absolutely brilliant if he said it's Fat Thor. Oh, yeah. Now that you brought it up, I'm mad now that they didn't go there. That would have been way.
I mean, I watching Endgame again, what bits I did of it last night, I'm like, oh god, Fat Thor is like the best. There's something like tangible about that character that's like even more relatable, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, because he feels so much more human, you know.
Yeah.
Even though he's like struggling between his former legacy and this new version of himself that's dealing with pain. It's just interesting to watch. Like, he's such a good actor.
I still love that scene when he gets to see his mom again, and he's just like, "Oh, I need to tell you something." She's like, "It's okay, don't worry about it," you know. And then it's just like that emotional moment of like, "Oh my god, I'm here, I'm seeing my mom who's dead." It's, I loved it.
Mike Hill. Was there a really good reason to bring back Kat Dennings just for that one scene?
No, but I liked it. I was excited to see Kat Dennings in that scene, and I was like, "Oh yay!" But then, thinking about it, I was like, there's no point. She doesn't come back. She's just there to bring her some hot Cheetos and make some jokes and talk to her about Thor.
How did you feel about what's her name? McCarthy? What's her?
Melissa, is that her name?
I forgot her name. The one who's basically playing
Hela.
In Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
What's her name? Melissa McCarthy?
Is that her name?
How'd you feel about her showing up?
Well, it was her and Matt Damon.
Well, that Matt Damon and Chris Hemsworth's brother was from Ragnarok.
Yeah,
right.
they've been there.
They've been there, and so as well as the guy from Jurassic Park, Sam Neill.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Once again, it's Taika. Once again, he brings serious actors who play caricatures over a storyline that's supposed to be there for people's entertainment. You know, it's just another hat tip of him saying, "I'm not taking this seriously." And her performance was great. It fit the mold of what he was trying to do.
I just don't like Melissa McCarthy.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I said it. There, I said it.
What's wrong with you?
Something's wrong with her. I don't know. She's just not funny to me. As soon as she showed up, I was just like, oh, man. All right, let's just get through this moment. And I realized watching it a second time why we needed that scene. It's because I always thought it was weird the first time I watched it that it just stops as soon as she breaks the hammer. I'm like, what? There's a whole bunch of story left between that moment
because we just need to be reminded.
So between that moment and the end of Ragnarok, right?
Yeah.
There's like a lot of story missing, and I was like, why? The first time I watched it, I was like, why didn't they show any of that other stuff? Why did they stop at the hammer scene? And then I realized watching it the second time, it's just to explain to us why we're going to focus on the hammer now.
Right, yeah,
to connect us to that.
Just to remind us how the hammer got broken.
Exactly.
And the whole backstory there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arjun V. Rao says, did you ever feel Gorr was right? He is like Joker, but bad guy. He's like Joker, bad guy, but why?
But you get why he's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, kind of. I mean,
They didn't show any good gods in the movie. Except for Thor himself. Like, they didn't show any good gods in the film. So it's like, yeah, there's a moment in there where I'm like, yeah, why Why? I get why Gore the God Butcher's doing what he's doing. I do understand him.
Well, I feel like this thing about the gods don't care about us is something that I have read a lot in literature over the years, of this idea of God being absolutely indifferent to the plight of humans and not accepting his
And not
responsibility.
benevolent?
Yeah, like not even not benevolent, because he's just absolutely indifferent. Like God couldn't give a shit about the humans that he created, and he just doesn't care, which is something that I have like been reading a lot in different books and storylines and stuff like that. And so yeah, I could understand why Gorr felt the way he did, because in his situation his god was an absolute prick. And so yeah, I understand where he's coming from, but I didn't really feel, I myself wasn't like, oh yeah, I can like maybe get on board with that. Whereas like with Thanos, there was definitely a moment where I was like, yeah, I do kind of see what you're saying here, and maybe just maybe that might be good. Stop that, Achara! That's terrible. That's genocide of half the universe. Stop thinking about that. Yeah.
Well, it's just a little bit weird, because if you're able to snap your fingers and do anything, then surely you would think, well, I'll snap my fingers and create double the resources.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
It just seems odd that you wouldn't come up with that. And one thing I heard people talking about is, it might have been Jeremy Johns, because I watched a few reviews, but I watched more of his.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, okay, so basically the whole goal of Gorr is to get to eternity, right?
Yeah.
The center of the universe or whatever. And this never came up before in Endgame. It never came up as we could go there and wish for everything.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know.
Oh my gosh.
But presumably he couldn't get there, or he didn't know about it, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit odd that it didn't come up. Okay, let me address some of the supers real quick. Sus Dodge. I don't know. Doge. Left in half to cringe. How the fuck they broke all black? I don't understand what that means. Does anyone else understand that?
No, I don't understand the second half of the super chat, but I get that this person left halfway through the movie to cringe.
Oh, okay.
Well, I feel like the first half of the movie actually felt like a different movie. Like it was a comedy film in the first half, and then it got really dramatic.
You've been saying that from the first viewing, and I don't understand anyone's complaint about tonal inconsistencies about this movie at all. Because you're not the only one to say that. I've seen a lot of people online saying it's totally inconsistent. I'm like, really? Is it though? Because it starts out with Christian Bale in this serious moment and murdering his god, and then it goes straight into jokes, and then it comes back to something serious, and it's like, but like they establish in the first 10 minutes that you're gonna get two tones. So
I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying
you
that's
literally
what it
said you
felt
hated
like.
the movie.
No, I
and you're
didn't.
done with it. Just joking. No, I didn't. I said I liked it a lot.
I did say I like it a lot. Jesus.
Where are we? Varun Venevek. I think Thor didn't have much of a character arc in this movie except Jane and Gorr. There was no struggle for him except wanting his love to live.
I disagree. I think he did have a character arc.
What was his character arc?
Well, his character arc was, okay, well, first of all, he was all like, I don't believe in love. And then Peter Quill was like, you just need to feel shitty about something. You need to want to feel shitty. And then he's like, Jane comes back into his life, and then he allows love back in, but then he's trying so hard to hold on to her and be like, please stay. And then at the end, he has to learn how to let go because she can't stay. And it's better to have loved and lost and not to love at all. I'm not explaining this very well.
I'm not following the arc.
I feel like
I'm hearing all the beats that you're talking about, but I'm not following the arc there.
The arc is that he had to learn to let go.
Okay, go ahead, Syntell.
Yeah, you try, Syntell.
I was gonna say, well, one of the bases of their argument is that him and Jane grew apart because work got in the way, and he had to go be a superhero and and not be there. And as a result of the distance between that and life happening, they grew apart. And in the very end, he had the choice to try and save the universe and keep Gorr from making his wish, or he could say, F work, and I'm gonna sit here and be with my lady. And he chose to be with his lady. I mean, that to me was the big arc. He loved and lost and didn't think that he could love again, found love again, learned how to let go on top of it as well. So I thought he had a pretty big character arc. He's not the same person that he was in the beginning of the movie.
Okay. I mean, I'm not really buying all that, but I enjoyed the movie, so it doesn't really matter. It's like if he was really having an arc, I feel like he would have had a Rocky 2 moment in the movie. You know, did you see Rocky 2? You saw Rocky 2. We all saw Rocky 2, right? Like Adrian goes down for the count. I guess because she's pregnant or something. Like she's in a coma.
Right.
And so Rocky gives up training completely. There's like a huge chunk of the movie where Rocky's like, I'm done. I'm not fighting. Fuck this. I'm going to be with my boo. And like, he's just at the hospital with her, like waiting for her to come back. And when she finally wakes up, she's like, go kill him. And then he goes back to the fight, you know? And that's what gives him his juice. It doesn't matter that he missed out on months of training, which is wildly unrealistic. It's like, what matters is that he's got his passion back, which is Adrian.
Sure.
Right? And they could have done something like that here, where she just straight up goes into a coma. But the movie wanted to be short. It wanted to be efficient. It's like, it's a tight 2 hours. It wastes no time. There's no fat on this movie at all. Like, it just moves.
But there was the moment, like, there was a redemption moment where he could have been the man he's supposed to be and stand by his woman's side when she's literally on her deathbed and he's sitting beside her and he still chooses, I have to go save the world. Still, even in that moment. But then he gets a third opportunity at the very end when all is just about lost and he could stop Gorr. And he's like, no, I really am going to be by your side.
Is there really an arc when there's like seconds left in her life? Like, she's got seconds left to live.
I mean, he crossed the finish line at the very end, but yeah, I mean, he finally made the decision. I mean, him to make the decision to not save the world would have been a dumbass decision. Yeah. But as far as, are you really going to truly be here for me, even though you're a superpowered person? Will you sacrifice the world for me? And he said yes in the end.
Okay. I'll ask the audience if they felt like he had an arc.
I mean, it's a dumb decision, but that is the arc.
But speaking of which, I just want to comment real quick before I forget how much I loved the design of Eternity. I thought it was super cool. Like, I know that's straight from the comic book, and it's actually like a modification of the character from the comic book. But I thought it looked super cool. Just the idea of it, like the dimensionality of it. I don't know how to express it very well.
Yeah, where it was like the shadow, the outline of the person, but then they were the stars in the outline, right? That looked really cool.
I thought it was dope.
Yeah. Yeah, visually it was really, really nice.
Let's see. Did you feel like Thor had an arc?
You know what? Eternity brought a plot hole though, right? Because why didn't Thor just...
It was whoever got there first, I think.
Whoever got there first? Really?
Yeah.
It's a race to Eternity?
Yeah, but I feel like Thor could have easily went in there first and just like left Jane behind, left all the kids behind, rushed into the portal himself ahead of Gorr, and then made a wish. But he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. So
no,
yeah.
But anyway, this is part of his character. Wizardlante. Good gods, Talo and Bast.
Yeah, but we didn't actually see them being good gods. We have to remember that they are.
We saw no benevolent gods in this film except for Thor. He's the only one. He's the only one who was like kind to people and actually cared. Bano Bench. I feel like Marvel ended up making a rom-com. I liked watching it in theaters though, with love. Arindam Biswas from Kolkata, India. It was a rom-com.
It was.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that about it. I enjoyed those elements. I like you said, Syntell, I really, really liked what they did with Jane Foster in this movie. I thought that relationship was cool. I liked how they developed her character and made me fall in love with Mighty Thor. I thought some of the jokes with Natalie Portman didn't land at all, but overall, I liked her presence in this movie way more than in previous Marvel films. What?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I'm turning you around to the whole rom-com genre. There are some good rom-coms out there, Jaby Koay.
Yeah. So it happened early on for me when I realized that some of the jokes were too much. And it was when Jane Foster is at the hospital. First off, I don't get why she's explaining how wormholes work to this rando kid.
Yeah, that was a little bit strange.
Why is this in the movie? It's setting up literally nothing. other than she's smart, which we know.
And to have Love at the end of the movie, the little girl, the book that she's reading is Jane Foster's book. It's so that we know.
Can still have that anyway. Oh, you're reading my book. Cool, dope. I gotta go in now for treatment. Like, do you really need to have her rip a page out and tell dude how a wormhole works with a pencil through the paper, and then reference 2 or 3 other movies that showed it better? Like, why are you doing this? I don't understand why you're bringing up these films that quite possibly wouldn't even exist in this universe. But anyway, moving aside, past that moment, she's getting her treatment, right? And she wants to get out of there, so she like starts shaking the bag that's feeding her the stuff she needs, and I'm like,
emo.
What the fuck is this movie? Like, why are they doing that? That annoyed me. That scene annoyed me, but like, because I don't think she would have done that. But her transitioning into more of a goofball after being Mighty Thor, I would buy that, and I liked all of that. I liked her trying to be cool because that fits in line with it looked like Syntell's arm was missing for a second. you had it behind
Turned
your
into
arm.
Lady Sif for a second.
Exactly. It looks really bad. Like her trying to be cool and like, because that's Taika Waititi's philosophy. I think he talked about that in his TED Talk. He's like, I always make characters that just want to be cool. They want to be cool, and they're not. And they're trying to figure out how to be cool. And that's...
Yeah.
And so that's what's going on with Jane Foster, is like she's trying to figure out her mantra,
her catchphrase,
her catchphrase and whatnot.
It's my hammer.
She's figuring out like what it means to be Mighty Thor. Like, I bought into her goofiness there. Prior to that, it didn't make any sense to me.
You know what though? I really liked Jane Foster and Valkyrie.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about Valkyrie, because she another character that really needed some more.
Yeah,
I cared a little bit about her, but in this movie, I was like, that's a funny duo, them two together.
Yeah,
I would watch the movie with them two and their hijinks.
Hold on, I want to address a couple things real quick. So let's see. Karanwalia movie was bringing too pretentious, trying too much to be Taika Waititi product. Ragnarok only worked as it was a change from Kenneth Allen's style. You're the second person to say that in the supers. I don't think it was pretentious. I think that's the wrong word for it.
It's definitely got Taika Waititi all over it, though. Yes.
Yeah. Mista47 says everything Jaby just said was how I felt about the whole movie. Anyway, well, thanks. Cool. That's a little nitpicky dude from look who you're talking to. I am the nitpick fucking master, so that's what I do. Arjun V. Rao says, what do you feel? What was Jane's final catchphrase?
Oh man, that is killing me, because like every time you can't hear it, and obviously that's on purpose, because it's kind of like that thing where what could be the coolest catchphrase that she could possibly say? We'll never know.
A niche. None of the... I thought she just said the catchphrase she said to Gore the God Butcher.
Eat my hammer?
Eat my hammer. I thought that's what it was.
No, I think it's like a whole brand new amazing catchphrase.
I was fine with Eat my hammer. I thought that's what it was. A niche. None of the post-credit scenes have led up to any connection between projects so far. What do you guys think about the claim Phase 4 has no direction?
That's
Achara,
definitely something that I've been hearing a lot. And looking back and kind of, going over a lot of the films from the other phases leading up to Endgame, you can definitely see that there is a connection. And so far, we've had so much content in Phase 4. We're talking movies, TV shows. Apparently, it's like over 55 hours of content that we have so far. And it still doesn't feel like there's a big connection between it, and I'm a part of me is a little bit worried, because I'm like, okay, maybe everything is just kind of feeling very standalone right now, and maybe there isn't really a connection yet. But also I'm like, okay, we've come this far with Marvel. It's been like 20 years. Mm-hmm. I think we can maybe trust them a little bit and just see what they're doing. But I am worried that if it keeps going on like this and we're not seeing that through line, that connection, then maybe more and more people are just going to be like, yeah, I just don't care anymore.
What was the name of the Tom Hanks movie where he's stranded on an island?
Castaway.
Do you remember watching the trailer for that film and watching the behind the scenes a little bit? finding out that Tom Hanks went through this rigorous weight loss thing in order to transition as this character who was like stranded on an island and then is like just there for 4 years and blah, blah, blah. And then you get to the movie, he busts the tooth out of his mouth, and then it says 4 years later, and now he's like equipped and living on this island. And it's like, wait a second, I thought we were going to watch the 4 years and that transition.
Right.
And him becoming this other dude. I didn't realize that they just shut down production for 4 years and we'll just pick this up 4 years later in the story. I thought the movie was about him learning how to survive, right? It wasn't at all. And so that quick transition happened twice in this movie. With Gore the God Butcher, the moment he gets the sword, he's completely different. A completely different makeup, completely different attitude. We didn't see him really develop into Gore the God Butcher.
Well, because he becomes immediately corrupted when he touches the sword.
Yeah, I kind of wish
That's the idea.
I kind of wish that the movie was able to find a way to have it be where it takes over him, because that's what's literally expressed in the movie, is that the sword is taking over him.
Right.
They literally say it.
It's literally killing him.
But it's a very binary thing. It's like, first he's this guy over here who's weak and kind of sobbing and whatever and renounces his god, and then instantly he's like, Gore the God Butcher. You know, there's no transition. And then with Jane, same thing. It's like, first she's sick and then she's Thor, Mighty Thor. There's no like transition.
Sure.
And I'm just going off of someone's comment here, because someone says, I wish they showed more development with Jane or more development with Gorr. And I'm like, I get why they did what they did in the movie. It just would have been nice to have been able to see that progress as opposed to the instantaneousness of Tom Hanks getting thin.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Anyway. No comments from you, Syntell? No one? Nothing? Okay. All right.
No, you know me, I be trying to shut it down, so I don't talk too much. I think that's probably what was left on the editing room floor. The director's cut, that 4-hour one you were talking about, it probably had a lot to do with those characters' development. I wish that instead of showing the gods being killed, like the big one, that they actually showed maybe the final blow. So, it's all about, show don't tell when it comes to cinematic storytelling, and they told.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see. So let me get through these supers real quick. A niche. None of the post-credit scenes. Did I read that already? I read that already. Where are we? The ending of the movie. I like this movie. Hold on, I missed it. Where am I?
Wizalante.
Like this movie because I wasn't expecting a lot, because Ragnarok 2 felt like a filler episode of a series at the time to me.
Sure.
Wizalante.
This one standalone as well. This one definitely, both of them kind of, well, not Ragnarok as much as this one. This one felt like a full-blown standalone episode. Like, it does not have to tie into the phase 4 or 5?
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
of the MCU. And I'm cool with that. That's fine by me.
Yeah. Wizalante. The ending of the movie was good in a way that it makes you smile of what Love and Thunder is, and after credits were good as well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your generous supers.
I liked the ending for that reason as well. You're like, oh, that's what it's about. The movie's about love.
Yeah.
It's about Thor finding love and Thor becoming a daddy.
That's the thing, right? It's he's been trying to figure out like purpose a lot of times, and going through depression and dealing with loss and fully understanding like the inner workings of his father, right? And there's a lot of father-son elements that's been going through the MCU, and then we end this with him becoming a father.
Yeah.
So that now he's going to get that perspective and maybe be a better version, a better father than his father was to him. So it's I thought it was a great way to close it out. And then she's out, being just as disobedient as he was.
It was cute. What do you guys think about the mid-credit and after-credit scenes? We haven't talked about that yet.
We will.
Okay.
I just want to get through these supers because I don't want to ignore them. Mohammed Zaki. The Thor is 1,500-year-old. Thor is 1,500 years old, and people want him to have a complete character arc in his 10 to 15 years of life. We know. Yeah, that's how movies work, dude. I'm sorry. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
But
kind of to be expected.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Wizalante, for your supers again. I forgot to say that. Kartik Sharma. He was fighting depression since Ragnarok, and meditation didn't help, so he pretended to be happy by being buffoonish with Guardians. Asgard kids were his weakness. He turned them to strength. He finally found happiness in fatherhood.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
I thought that Jaby, you probably related hard to that scene where they were talking about meditation, and then Thor was like, "I tried meditation. It just made me more angry."
Yeah.
So I heard you laughing every single time. I'm like, I feel like Jaby relates.
That's very
to this.
relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Nobody. There's a group called Jaby Koay on Telegram where your Patreon is being shared. Well, let's stop talking about that then. stop talking about it. So thank you, Kartik Sharma, for your
I don't even know if I can shut down Telegram groups.
Ty Kroner. No backstory to the Necrosword and why it should be feared. We were told to be afraid. Could have mentioned null or symbiotes or showed its true power.
Yeah, no, it's true. Definitely, they were just like, oh,
it just showed up.
Yeah, and I have some questions about that because I thought there were some moments where it looked like the Necrosword was touching Thor, and in fact, at the end, he put his hand on the Necrosword, and I thought for a second, I was like, how can he do that though? Isn't this fatal to gods? And he's just holding the sword with his bare hands. Is it just the tip? Does it need to like pierce his
like
skin?
Hamlet? like Hamlet and the poison?
Yeah. Like what the hell? What the hell's going on?
The movie doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
The movie doesn't care. It doesn't care. Like you're overthinking. It's Taika Waititi. It's just like it doesn't. It's even within the film of the lore he's setting up. It's not consistent.
Syntell.
I was gonna say, wasn't there an after credit scene in some recent Marvel film where somebody opens a sword up? And you
Oh
see
yeah,
a sword?
it was in Eternals.
That's a different thing.
It's a different sword.
It's a different sword.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joshua Mendez. Thank you for your generous super. Love y'all. Thought I had. Ragnarok was leading up to the final epic of Infinity War Endgame, thus needed higher stakes. Love Thunder is a fun movie about discovering his love and family and self. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. The stakes are not as high in Love and Thunder, and I'm okay with that. I still wanted more out of the movie though.
But I guess that's the question now, right? It's like we've been having a lot of these movies now, and we aren't really understanding the direction that they're going in, apart from like introducing new characters to the MCU. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, but what's the direction? Who is the new big bad that we're fighting against? Is it that we have to wait until the next Ant-Man movie?
Recording in progress.
Sorry.
Quantumania.
Recording stopped.
I'm sorry.
In order to understand, like maybe the new big bad is going to be what's his face? Not the
Kang the Conqueror.
Kang the Conqueror. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm wondering.
I wasn't nervous about them having direction until the rumors came out that a lot of Multiverse of Madness was changed as a result to story and the overall extended through line of the MCU. That's when I got nervous. I'm like, oh, this sounds to me like Marvel just took the hands off the wheel and it's just, Jesus take the wheel kind of thing. So yeah, I am a little concerned after that. I was cool. I was like, in Marvel we trust, they've yet to disappoint us. But then I heard that and I'm like, ooh, I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Let me try to get back to sorry, I'm trying to set up things because I know you got to go soon, Syntell. Let me see, where are we? I lost where is it? Okay, here it is. Abhilash V. Maybe there's no single superhero team up this time. There are multiple team up movies. That's why these are not converging.
Yeah, that's quite possible. I mean, we've got a whole bunch of different teams that are going to be happening. So yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it is that we're not going to have like a full-on, it's all leading up to the Avengers type feel, because it's leading up to like maybe 3 different team-ups.
Kartik Sharma. Thor's. Are you gonna say? I was just waiting for you, Syntell, if you wanted to say something.
Oh no, I was just gonna say your audio's kind of. I think Discord's doing that.
Oh yeah, that's. But I think we sound fine to the audience, though. Okay. You have a separate microphone, so. Are you listening to us through the microphone that I'm tapping, or are you listening to us through the stream? Okay. Kartik Sharma. Thor's character arc from Ragnarok, Avengers 3, 4, and Thor 4 is the story of a person dealing with depression from so much personal loss. There's a great video essay after Endgame by Full Fat Videos. Oh, that sounds fun.
Oh, that sounds interesting, yeah.
Thank you for that recommendation. Karan Walia. I meant they focus more on style than writing. I guess so. In a Juno kind of way, I suppose they did.
I still think that the story was still strong. I don't know. I think I stand by my feeling that emotionally I thought this was a great movie. Just kind of going through those emotional arcs with the characters.
Wizardlante. Henry Cavill as Hercules would have given us father-son duo from Man of Steel, and probably Marvel would treat Cavill better than WB.
Oh.
I would have bought him as Hercules. That would have been interesting. But I guess they wanted someone younger. I don't know.
I don't know, man. That guy that's playing him, I think this is. I don't know if you have watched.
No, we haven't.
So
No, we haven't.
that actor that is playing, that's going to play Hercules in Ted Lasso, he's amazing, absolutely amazing. So when I saw his face as Hercules, I was over the moon about it. I was like, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah. Courtney was the same. She was just like, oh my God. And we were like, why are you freaking out? Okay, I get it. It's Hercules. I mean, my only context for Hercules is just in the Greek mythology. You know, he's a demigod, son of Zeus, right? And he's super strong and all of that. I'm like, cool. I have no idea what he is like in the MCU. I don't know because you know, like Thor is a god from real Norse mythology, and they've made him into this type of character. So like, I don't know what Hercules' character is supposed to be like in the Marvel cinematic or just in the Marvel universe in general, like in the comics. So I'm kind of like, I don't know why we should be excited. That's cool, I guess.
Someone, Arjun V. Rao says, Thor movies like Jaby YouTube channel. Initially, he didn't know what to react to, or after a lot of hate and confusion, he has finally found love with his family subscribers.
Oh, cute.
Interesting take on it. Oddweight Cool Carney says there weren't as many cheers as I was expecting. And then Ripon Mandal says, hi, I am from India, and I loved your videos. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parth Panchal. They couldn't mention Null or talk much about the Necrosword origin without Sony getting involved, since it has a connection with the symbiotes.
Oh, fair point.
That sucks.
Fair point. Yeah, that's absolutely fair.
Syntell, do you have to bounce?
No, I'm just struggling with the audio because
No. Okay.
That's what I'm hearing. So I'm trying to concentrate. I'm sorry. Oh, you were asking if I had to leave, right?
Yeah.
I'm good for a little bit longer.
Okay, cool.
Like another 10 more minutes.
Okay, cool. I'll see if I can fix the Discord thing. Achara, you guys can chat for a hot second while I try to figure that out.
Okay.
You have the chat right there, little in front of you.
Sorry. It's just like if I look at this, it's really small. Let me try and make it bigger.
Okay. So Hercules is a party animal. Himbo in the comics.
Oh, fun.
He's bi and hooks up with all the ladies and dudes. Currently, he's in a relationship with no Vor Marvel Boy.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh, so another like potentially super fun character. I'm into it. I can get behind that.
Let's see. Why can't Syntell hear me?
Valkyrie, Jane, and Thor had a problem fighting the Berserkers, but the kids managed to fight them. Oh, that's the one thing that actually Jaby and I were talking about the kids, because it was awesome. I loved that scene. I thought it was so much fun, super cool. I already said this at the top of the stream, but as soon as you introduce the kids into the mix and have them fighting, there was a part of me that was like, oh God, I hope nothing happens to the children. I hope that none of the children die, because that would be a freaking disaster. And then, of course, as soon as they introduce the children into the fight, it's like, well, nothing can happen now in terms of, like, there are no stakes for them getting hurt.
Yep.
Because, like, no, they just can't. You can't kill the kids. The parents would be absolutely distraught, and also so would the children who are watching the movie. So, yeah.
It's the unknown artist 008 says, I hate how too many people were able to pick up Stormbreaker. It reduced the importance and power of it. How did you all feel about that?
I don't think it was ever established that
only Thor could
Stormbreaker was like Mjolnir and you had to be worthy to pick it up. Yeah.
You couldn't hear us, Syntell?
Oh no.
Syntell?
Yo, I heard that.
I don't know what's going on.
It's okay. I'm trying to read y'all's lips.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead, Charlie. You talk about it. Let me see if I can fix this real quick. I don't know why he can't hear us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They never established that no one else could pick it up. But I guess in a way it was a little bit like undermining. I did love that part.
I mean, everyone literally was able to pick up that thing just fine.
Yeah. But I like that part where Gorr was trying to touch the axe in the beginning, and then Thor's like, don't touch my things. I was like, oh yeah, I feel that. I know someone who's just like that.
Hold on a second. I'm trying to figure out my stuff with Courtney right now so that I can bring her in as soon as. Oh, I know who that is. That was definitely Courtney's audio. How do I mute her? Courtney? How do I mute? Let me mute her. There we go. Muted her. All right, cool. So let me see. So I have you muted right now, Courtney. Just FYI. I don't know how to fix Syntell's audio, so you can't hear us at all.
I can hear bits and pieces of it.
All right.
Bits and
Well, we tried to fix that in advance and we couldn't. So, Discord's
That's all
just.
good. I can work on some context.
Okay. Discord's so fucking annoying now. We tried to fix this audio. Sorry, guys. We tried to fix it beforehand and we couldn't fix it for some odd reason. But anyway, let's see. Where are we?
Hathim12221 says, I mean, Stormbreaker was made from Groot's arm, so I think anyone can pick it up. Fair.
That's true.
Yeah.
From my understanding, like the rules of Mjolnir don't apply to Stormbreaker when it comes to picking it up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So anyone can use the power of the Bifrost.
That's fair. Who didn't love the goats? How did y'all feel about the goats?
I love the goats. Love the goats.
Let me put up a poll about the.
We already did the poll about the goats, didn't we?
No.
Oh no, we didn't. Okay.
No. So Syntell was talking about Valkyrie and her on being underutilized, right?
Yeah. I feel that she was underutilized too. Because I think every time I see her come up in the movies, I love her. I love her character. I think she's so fascinating and so interesting to me. And I loved the relationship that she had with Jane Foster in this movie, and that kind of like, little team that they had and the friendship that they had. And I would have loved to see more of that.
Okay, I'm going to let you go, Syntell, since you can't hear us.
I'm hearing about Valkyrie, and let me add my little 2 cents. I liked the fact that they had her boring and mundane in the beginning, because she's like just going through the rigmarole of being the mayor of Asgard or whatever it is, the leader of Asgard. And that's kind of like how I felt about her in some of the other previous movies that she's been in. It's like she's just kind of just there. And then they just Taika just turned the switch on her and made her absolutely just a joy to watch. Like you're seeing like two girlfriends just kick it, superpower girlfriends, hanging out and being awesome and doing that. And that just breathed so much more life into Valkyrie than what I'd seen from before. But I'm glad we had that comparison contrast in the beginning to what we were had the time to enjoy when she changed into, just a girl.
Yeah. All right, man. I'll let you go. So thank you so much for being part of the stream. I'm going to bring Courtney in now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Right, see you, dude. Peace out.
Serenity Q26 says, I liked how the goats looked, but that screaming, like most of the bits in the film, went on for too much. Loved Zeus, but that lightning bit went on too long as well.
Court, you're on camera, just so you know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you could say that about a lot of the comedy bits.
Let me make sure. Oh, I can't hear. Can you unmute yourself, Courtney? I can't hear. You got to unmute yourself. Ask to unmute. Ask to unmute. There we go.
You did it. You muted me. I can't unmute myself.
Yes, you do. That's how Zoom works. You got to unmute yourself.
But when the host mutes you, you can't.
No, I can't. It doesn't let me. It says I can ask you to unmute. But anyway, here we are. So this looks a little funky, but that's all right. That's all right. So where are we? I like Jane Foster. Gorr wasn't wrong. I've been seeing that pop up over and over again. Gorr wasn't wrong. Gods were like mean to followers. What Rapu did to Gorr, now Zeus is going to do that to humans by sending Hercules to defeat Thor. But yeah, Hercules is not going to be a bad guy. That's what I expressed earlier. We didn't see any good gods in the movie, just at all, except for Thor. I've said that multiple times now. It's just like I didn't see anyone worth defending, like nobody, because he went to Omnipotent City and no one joined them.
Yeah.
No one was like, I'll fight by your side. I'll stand by your side. Not one.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing about that. None of those gods in Omnipotent City knew about what Gorr was doing, because Zeus was trying really hard to either downplay and say like, oh, there's no problem. Mm-hmm. So the other gods within the auditorium, I don't think they necessarily knew the extent of it, but Zeus, yeah, he should have, because you want to think that the Greek heroes are just that, are heroes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also Thor's movie, so they didn't want to bring in like other amazing gods to be more amazing than Thor.
Yeah. Fair.
So Syntell a moment ago was talking about how they breathed new life into Valkyrie. I thought that the way they treated her in Ragnarok was way better than how they treated her here. She had way more going on in Ragnarok than she did here. Here, she was more of a background character. Watching the film a second time, I noticed that the camera rarely stayed on her for more than a second in Love and Thunder. Like, it often cut away from her, or she was in the background. Like, the movie did not care as much about Valkyrie at all and didn't know what to do with her. She was just like kind of there.
I know, but the thing about Valkyrie and Tessa Thompson as her, there's just something about her that even there was one scene where there were like 4 of the characters and they were walking, right? And I guess it was Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman in the front, and so they were in focus. And then you had Valkyrie and Korg in the background.
Yeah.
And they were out of focus. But I just kept looking at Tessa Thompson because she was still giving like faces and things, like she was looking at them like, oh look, they're rekindling their romance, like, you know, and she's just so fascinating to watch that I can't help it. I want to see more of her. I think she's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, there was one thing that I think that because I saw when I heard a little bit about like what you and Syntell were saying. Like, first of all, I want to remind that she was not the mayor, she was the king. At the end of Endgame, Thor made her King Valkyrie.
Oh, I thought she was like the janitor or something.
Yeah, exactly, sure. But because you have to kind of give her that credit in the sense of like, she wasn't just like doing random things. Every time we saw her at the beginning, like, she was doing the duty of Thor. She was being the king, which is something that he decided he didn't want to do. So I love the conversation that she and Jane had where she was like, yeah, I'm bored. I'm a warrior. I this is what I do. I go and I fight and I battle, and because as a Valkyrie, they're supposed to protect the throne. So she was kind of like at odds with herself a little bit. But I do agree, like, I could have used more of her. I thought that we missed the beginning of seeing Jane and Valkyrie's relationship begin.
Yeah.
Because we saw Jane show up. We saw the hammer reassemble for her. And next thing you know, cut to like a couple weeks later when, you got to meet the new guy. And they're all like friends, which I love their relationship. But I think that would have helped service the story a little bit better in terms of like establishing Valkyrie as part of the crew.
Well, I agree with you. That would have been great to see the development there. I think it runs the risk of it feeling like it's taking away from Thor if we did that, though. That's the issue. Is that's what Marvel's been doing a lot of lately. Is like, we have this show. It's called Hawkeye. It's not at all about the Hawkeye you're thinking of, though. It's about the young woman, right? And Loki. We got a show about Loki. Not really. It's about Sylvie. And it's like this has been happening so much. Even with Black Widow's movie, it felt less about Black Widow and more about her younger sister. More
about Yelena. Yeah,
and
exactly.
So
I totally agree.
Yeah, and so here they were like, we're gonna like stop all that. It's Thor's movie, and so they gave you what they needed to of Jane Foster.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you on the Disney Plus series.
Yeah.
That is my number one complaint about Loki, is that it felt like he was Doctor Who, but he was more of a companion, and really Sylvie was Doctor Who. Like, I'm like, why are we following Sylvie? So I do understand what you're saying. I think the difference is, I feel like they just gave Taika Waititi the power to move forward. Just go, just do you. Yeah. Because Thor Ragnarok is one of the most beloved of the MCU, like the first like three phases, that everybody kind of like agrees that Ragnarok is in the top 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that the reason we got more Thor is because Taika was like, this is Thor's movie. But I do think that I didn't need like a whole like 3 scenes to establish them like building, even just the scene of like Valkyrie seeing her as Thor for the first time. That would have established something for me. And then we should have just moved.
I think the reason why they did it the way they did was because they wanted the audience to discover Jane Foster as Mighty Thor at the same time as Thor. So we're experiencing Thor's
That's
emotions.
probably good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did think that scene that they gave us with them, where Valkyrie sees her and she sees the destruction that she made in the bathroom. There was like this mutual understanding of like what Jane was going through, and it gave me the depth of their friendship really quickly.
I gotta address this real quick. So, Parth Panchal. They couldn't mention Null or talk much about the Necrosword origin without Sony getting involved. I read that one earlier, sorry. Ripon Mundal. Everything was fine in Thor Love and Thunder, but there seemed to be a lack of comedy and runtime.
What?
I think that's an ironic statement, because that doesn't make any sense with anything that's been expressed so far.
I think there was a lot of comedy, and I could have done with a little bit less of it.
Yeah. Wizalante. Thank you again for your generous supers, Wizalante. Mjolnir is now more powerful, I think, because it has a few bits of the Necrosword in it as it was reassembled. That happened, right? Also, Heimdall is back. I don't think that any part of the Necrosword stayed inside the hammer. I think that went away.
Yeah.
Because when Jane slammed down the hammer, I think the whole point was you saw like what was left of the sword completely dither away and disappear.
Yeah.
And so presumably whatever was inside the hammer also disappeared. Wizalante says Zeus was like fake news.
I agree with that assessment.
Yeah. Mike Hill, thank you for your generous super. Instead of defending, I rather want to eat the dumpling god.
No, the dumpling god is too cute. You can't eat Bao.
So
Come on.
cute,
I straight up would
little
have
Bao.
that would have been
I liked him. That would have been devastating.
Akash Selva Kumar. Hi guys, I think only gods can lift Stormbreaker, hinting that Gorr wished her daughter returned as a god as she wielded Stormbreaker. Is what's his name? Is the little black kid? Is he a god?
Well,
Yes, he's the son of Heimdall.
yeah.
I know he's the son of Heimdall, but I didn't know if he was like a god also. I know he had vision, but I didn't know if that made him also a god.
So yeah, clarify this to
Well,
me.
I
So
think
they're
he's immortal.
all gods, right? Are all Asgardians gods, or are they just Asgardians?
I think they're all like, I would say the Asgardians are like minor gods. You know, like with the Greek gods, you have certain gods like Zeus,
Yeah.
Athena, Aphrodite, or Ares. Those are your major
Main gods, yeah.
And then you have like Hecate,
Hecate,
and,
Hephaestus.
Strife, and Discord. Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce, because I have heard like 4 different pronunciations of Hecate. Like I'm like, whatever, you know, her,
Yeah.
the goddess of magic.
Yes,
Greek
yes.
goddess of like, but please, like, I would love to. If somebody in the chat knows how to say, please let me know.
Arjun V. Rao.
But yes, I think
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, I think that they're Asgardians that are in the town are like minor gods, but
Gotcha.
they're all immortal.
Arjun V. Rao says, do you think people would still find it funny if the roles were reversed with Jane in the flick scene? Clothes off.
No. I don't think
I'm
so.
sorry, what? Say again?
Do you think it would be funny if they reversed the genders for the flick scene? Like if Jane was the one who had her clothes flicked off? I think that kind of joke has been played before. I mean, we used to get those jokes more before. It's less of a thing you'd see now, but like women being naked and that being a joke is a thing that's been played before.
I don't think you can do that now.
I think you can.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know if y'all watched The Boys. There was in one of in the Herogasm episode, they did kind of do that with Starlight and Huey.
Yeah.
But it was them together,
Yeah.
and it was a very specific reason for it. So I think that the Zeus scene in this one, I don't think it would have had the same weight because it was so on display for everybody else to see. I think for that, like kind of like what Jaby was saying, like as a woman in that arena, I don't think that would have worked out. I think it was far more comedic when Valkyrie and Jane stood up and were like, no, we're ready. No, we're not. Mm-mm. So I think that a lot supported that moment.
I don't know. Like there's a lot of talk online because of like guys who are how do I put this in a way that doesn't feel like it's going to bog down this chat. You know, there's the Me Too movement and all that stuff, and so naturally when you have something like the Me Too movement, there's going to be pushback.
Yeah.
And confusion and arguments online and whatnot. And so with that moment, it's like, would that be funny if it was a woman? Then why is it okay to do it to a guy?
Sure.
That's the argument I'm seeing online. The question, I'm like, I don't really have a good answer. All I know is maybe it's a power dynamic thing because. Go ahead, Courtney. You got something you want to say?
Well, I wanted to say Chris Hemsworth wanted to do that scene. So I think because he said like he spent all of the pandemic just working out and preparing for Thor. And he was like, I got all this, like, I got super big. And I thought, like, he said that after Thor 1, when he took his shirt off, it was like, he said, I'm never going to look like this probably ever again, any other movie. I won't have time to do this. So therefore, let us do this now. So I think that might have played a part as to why he was like, if I'm going to show my butt, I'm going to do it now when I'm in the greatest shape I'll ever be in. Yeah. So, I mean, that was the article that I read. So I don't know if that's true, if Taika wrote it before, but.
I mean, he looked great. He definitely worked very, very hard. All that definition.
Yeah. But that doesn't address the joke, though. That doesn't address why is it okay to do that to Chris Hemsworth and not to Natalie Portman? That's the question.
Like, yeah, I don't know a right answer to that. It might do with like vulnerability as well.
I mean, I if I had to try to hazard a guess, it has something to do with the fact that generally speaking, we have seen women very sexualized in movies, whereas with guys, we don't see them quite as sexualized as we do women. And so it's the unexpected funny because generally speaking, guys are in the more powerful situation. And here he's being stripped of his power for that moment. He's being made vulnerable for that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I feel like that's part of the part of why it wouldn't be funny if Jane was the one. But I feel like I feel like we have seen tons of jokes, like Courtney just pointed out in The Boys. It's like there's tons of jokes where a woman's suddenly naked and it's hilarious or funny or amusing. Like, I never thought that was hilarious. I thought it was amusing, mildly amusing, but it might be because it was overplayed in the trailer. So.
And what trailer? Oh, you mean because of the Thor scene, like the one that was coming?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they should have saved that. I feel like they shouldn't have put that in the trailer because then it wouldn't have been quite so forefront. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like in everybody's mind. Everybody was expecting that moment and looking for the moment and wanting to know the context. Yeah. And I feel like it kind of robbed the moment in and of itself.
Vendong Kashyap says, to be honest, entire Omnipotent City fighting scene was a bit downplayed. Zeus's death and their entire fight with soldiers seemed too easy, and surprisingly, no god fought after the death of their leader. So, as far as no one fighting after Zeus gets killed, supposedly, it's like you killed Zeus. He's the top dog. Like, after that, why would anyone step into a fight? Like, he killed Zeus. Right?
Yeah.
The only thing that I would have imagined might have happened was that people turned their loyalty towards Thor because he killed Zeus. You know? Like an old tribalistic thing. Like, you killed the leader, now you're the leader kind of thing.
But he did say, like, at the end of the movie, he's like, oh, well, now all the gods are going to be after us as well. Oh, well. You know, like, they had to make a hasty exit after that.
Yeah. And so, regarding the fighting being too easy, that was my complaint about the entire movie. Was that all the fights were too easy. There was very little in the way of resistance or setbacks as far as the fighting goes in the movie. The entire film. Every fight you see, no one, like Thor never gets a scratch. Like, he just destroys everybody, and it's like 300. There was no setbacks like there were in Ragnarok. Ragnarok had a lot of setbacks. Thor loses an eye. He gets so destroyed in that movie up to the very end when he finally wins. He finally gets a win at the very end of the movie. That's how it should have been, and they didn't do it here at all. It's just like they were invincible, basically. So,
well, I feel like that might be because we already had a built-in illness in Jane Foster. Like, she was the vulnerability, in my opinion.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sure, I guess that's fair. But, like, within the fights, it just, like, they were basically indestructible. You know what I mean? So...
you mean just Thor?
No, everybody.
Korg lost his head. Like, he lost his whole body.
Yeah, but he didn't die. It was like a fake death. That like, no one dies in this movie, really, except for, and even Jane Foster comes back in the end credit scene. Like, no one dies.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you guys about, because we haven't even talked. We haven't talked about the end credit scenes yet properly, and I was wondering how you guys felt about this whole thing, and especially recently, where it seems like characters die in Marvel, but then it's okay, you guys, they come back, it's fine. And so they showed us that with Zeus. We thought Zeus died, And then they had the scene where, I don't know, some lady's fixing the hole in his chest or something. And then we have Hercules come. And then we have the scene with Jane where you're right. You're absolutely right, Courtney.
That's Valhalla.
She is dead. She's in Valhalla. However,
She's coming back.
we see her. And so, yeah, we get an indication that this might not be the end of Jane Foster in the MCU. And that
might not. She's coming back for sure. Like, that's
well,
the whole
here's
point.
the thing. I mean, do you guys have you talked about the actual comic that
no,
this is based
we
on?
have not. You could go ahead and do that.
I mean, can I talk about the fact, like, what happens in the storyline of that comic
Sure,
book?
go for it,
Absolutely.
Okay, so in the comic book, Jane becomes a Valkyrie, essentially. Because that's what, I mean, the Valkyries are known for, they're warrior women who decide the soul and fate of a fallen warrior. And so they take them and they bring them to Valhalla, or they can decide that warrior has the right to resume living based on the honorable death that they had. So she's going to come back as a Valkyrie because in the comics, she and Valkyrie will continue that friendship and they have adventures. So yes, to your point about coming back, but I think this one is a little bit different because it is already kind of like built into the world within Thor.
Yeah.
Not like Natasha Romanoff, who's dead and not coming back. Like, I think we'll see at some point, we'll see some version of Captain America that's not Sam Wilson. I think we'll see other.
Sure, but the point stands to, but it still stands to reason that there's no tension in this movie at all because characters that get killed don't get killed. Like
Korg died.
I thought it would have been a shocker if Korg was dead, if like he was just dead. That would have been crazy.
Yeah, I thought he should have been.
Yeah.
I thought he should have been.
Yeah.
I didn't need him to be able to like reassemble his body.
Like, think about what kind of setback that would have been for Thor.
Yeah.
Like how much he would have felt destroyed and responsible for Korg's death.
I was devastated when a thunderbolt went through Korg.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, and he starts like crumbling, and I was like, oh no, but I liked Korg.
They should have kept. They should have kept him dead. Like while I love it's because I love his character.
Yeah.
Because you love his character, that sacrifice would have been so powerful. It would have been so meaningful for the story and like what Thor had to lose to get to his goal.
To get that weapon in order to defeat.
Because they literally lose nothing on the way. They like it's a quest. It's a fetch quest movie. Like they go from one thing to the next and no loss at all.
Yeah.
No loss whatsoever. But anyway.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I feel like Korg kind of represents the C-3PO character. Like from Star Wars, 3PO loses his body all the time. And he's usually just the head and limbs, and then R2-D2 has to put him back together. So when I saw his little head reappear, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's fine.
Well, they needed they needed an Eddie character then. So they needed some kind of an Eddie from
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things. They needed an Eddie.
Started on that one because I felt like Eddie was a cop-out death.
Well,
I feel like
all I'm saying is they needed someone to bring in that you fall in love with to kill off. So, and they
this is the same thing. You're saying the same thing. Max should have actually died rather being force healed by 11. So it's the exact same thing. We can't kill our darlings. Like as writers, you're supposed to be able to give the audience that gut-wrenching feeling of like losing this character you love, which is like what you just said, because it raises the stakes for the rest of our players.
Right.
But you're right. Like I totally agree with you. Like there was nobody really lost anything. Because even Thor.
I just got to get to the super chats. Lucky Vang. Stormbreaker being jealous was pretty funny. Glad to see it have more of a personality. I agree with you. Anyone who's saying there was too many jokes in that area, I think they're just a curmudgeon. More curmudgeon-y than Jaby Koay because I thought that shit was great. I liked Thor's struggle between what he once had and what he has now.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. The anthropomorphization of the weapons I thought was great.
Yeah.
So
I loved watching Stormbreaker creep in.
Yeah.
This angry this angry former lover or like new lover, like what are you doing?
Who are you texting? What's going on?
Kamal Shashank. Hasn't been a good MCU movie since Shang-Chi except Spider-Man, which is Sony. I think that Thor Love and Thunder was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. Was it a great movie? No. It's definitely It's definitely got problems. It's definitely got issues and holes. But I had a good time watching it, and that's what counts. I had a better time watching that than Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness, and I think in the long run, it's going to stand better the test of time than Spider-Man: No Way Home. Spider-Man: No Way Home was powerful because of our nostalgia, which kids 10 years from now aren't going to understand. Kids 15 years from now aren't going to understand. But if you watch those two movies 15 years from now, I feel like Thor: Love and Thunder is going to hold up better. Anyone else want to chime in on that?
No.
Okay, cool.
I agree. I agree with you in terms of like holding up better. It's not Thor: Love and Thunder wasn't my favorite. I did have fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it will hold up better than Doctor Strange.
Mike Hill. Did they change the rules for Jane because Thor told Lady Sif you had to die in battle to enter Valhalla?
I did wonder about that as well. But I guess technically Jane did. Well, she was dying in battle, right?
She did die, yeah.
Yeah, but then Lady Sif hung around after the battle a long time. She wasn't dead.
She wasn't dead.
She wasn't dead.
Was okay.
Yeah.
She was just she's immortal, so she was probably in the process of healing, as opposed to Jane, who was mortal.
I love that joke when Thor goes, perhaps your arm is in Valhalla.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I really did. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
Fun fact, in terms of the comics again, in the comic, Thor loses his arm. So I did appreciate the fact that even though Thor didn't lose his arm, somebody did.
Yeah.
So I liked that.
So what is Mike Hill talking about? Because I'm a little bit lost here in terms of the rules changing.
Well, because Thor told Lady Sif that you had to die in battle to enter Valhalla, so it's like a technicality, right? But we were just saying that Jane actually did die in battle, as it were, whereas Lady Sif, the battle happened, it went, some time passed, and so she's still knocking about. So if she dies,
but Odin didn't die in battle. I mean, presumably he's in Valhalla. The way he died, it looked like he disappeared off into the heavens of Valhalla.
He's Odin. I guess
fair,
he gets a pass.
Odin has it's interesting. Like Odin has there's several different versions of what happens to Odin when he dies, but there's a separate place that he is, as opposed to in some of the comics, there's a separate place that he goes to ultimately, because he's not. Yeah. But anyways, in terms of Valhalla, Jane, like we said before, like Jane did technically die. She made the choice to not have more time on Earth to use Mjolnir to go into battle. Like she used her very last bits of strength in order to like help Thor save the children. Like that was her choice. That was her warrior's decision to sacrifice herself. So ultimately that was her ticket.
Yeah. HB Initials says, Get Jaby, what do you think about the music choices, Guns N' Roses? I really like the soundtrack in Thor: Love and Thunder. I know some people were complaining about it because it's all just Guns N' Roses. But watching it a second time, I also got to pay attention to the movie score, which is not Guns N' Roses, just like the instrumental music in the film, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
I think that the music, both in Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, is actually really, really good. I didn't mind any of the soundtrack music, which is Guns N' Roses. I thought it was well placed, because back in the 90s, we used to get music all over the place, which was just dumb. Like, music would just show up because they were trying to sell you the CD, But here, I thought it was very well placed. Like, could we have done better with variety? That's not what Taika Waititi wanted to do. He just wanted to do what he wanted to do. It was like a backyard movie for him in a way. Like, he just did his music, and I'm like, I'm fine with this.
This is all Taika.
Yeah.
This like they gave him. I feel like they gave him carte blanche. They were like, you know what? Just go ahead. Just do you. We trust you. It's fine.
Yeah.
And I was okay with the music too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun.
Wizalante. Runtime. Now biggest MCU shows and movies problem. I agree completely, dude. Like, I feel like the runtime on shit is too quick on all the Disney shit across the board lately. Multiverse of Madness was way too quick. Thor: Love and Thunder, I feel like we could have got more stuff fleshed out.
Could have got 20 more minutes.
Yeah, because
I could have sat there for 20 more minutes.
The original cut was 4 hours long. Like, the first cut was 4 hours long, and they cut it down to 2 hours. So I'm like, you probably cut out a lot of developmental stuff that would have helped the story. But you get what you get. And then the shows are the most egregious version of these things, where every episode of everything on Disney Plus feels too quick to me.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like
rushed.
it feels like a commercial every time.
You could at least do 2 more episodes and it would be fine.
Right. Exactly. Mr.
I feel
Down.
like it's spread too thin. Go ahead.
No, yeah, we can come back to that in a second. I just want to get through some of these supers. Mr. Downtown, thank you for your generous super. Thor has lost his mom, dad, bro 3 times. This is the first time he gained someone, a stepdaughter. Should he have lost Stormbreaker to regain Mjolnir? I don't think so, personally. I think it was fine that he's got both, because both him and his pseudo-daughter have a weapon to use when they go to battle. But I do kind of wish that they brought back some of the loss that he's experienced over the years into this film. I wish they kind of emphasized it a little bit more.
I mean, they kind of showed it a little bit, like when he was naked and you saw the tattoos that he had on his back that were a tribute to Loki, you know?
No, but I wanted to see it in him. I want,
Sure.
in his performance. But go ahead, Court.
I think he did that emotional journey in Endgame. I think the scene between him and his mom and his understanding of like what he went through, I think to go back to that is
Redundant.
is overkill, and it takes away from the process and journey that he went through. I think like from him still remaining like fat at the end of Endgame, and then watching his progression and his training, and then ultimately seeing that tattoo, like that's showing the world like that. Yes, he experienced the loss, but he is moving through it. You know what I mean? Like he is on the other side.
Yeah.
Sundipan, thank you for your very generous super. The movies from Marvel now have good stories, but seems to have a problem with executing it. And as you said, people won't recognize after some years. The movies that stand and will stand after years that I think are Sam Raimi's Spider-Man franchise. I don't know. I rewatched Infinity War yesterday and parts of Endgame, and I feel like those films, while they're fairly fresh, like only a few years old, I feel like even after just a few years, you can feel like if something's losing its gusto or its worthwhileness in like just cinema. Those films still hold up. I think those films still are like great to watch.
But they require you having done the work of watching all the other films in order to feel the weight.
Yeah, and you know what? On that point, like I actually watching was like, I cannot wait to have kids to show these movies to. Like I cannot wait to have kids to like take them through the MCU and watch their face, like a reaction video, watch their face as they experience all the things I experienced, so I can vicariously relive it through them.
Yeah.
I think that the Sam Raimi trilogy, I think the first 2 will. I think the third one is always gonna live in infamy. Yeah. Just from that dancing scene alone. Like I'm still not over that.
Yeah.
I agree. I think I was just rewatching Ragnarok today, and after having watched Love and Thunder, I have a new appreciation for Ragnarok.
Yeah.
It's stronger than I initially felt.
Yeah. No, I rewatched it and I really liked it. I don't know if you heard that earlier. I really liked I watched it yesterday and I was like, this is actually a really good movie. So Captain Sarav in the chat says, Comic Zindagi, Jane was resurrected by Odin in comic after she arrived in Valhalla and becomes Valkyrie as she cannot lift Mjolnir after her revival.
Oh, okay.
Korg kind of talked about that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I forgot that. I forgot that part.
Did you want to expand on that again, like just for those who are just joining us about Valkyrie and
about Valkyrie?
Where she's headed. I'm going to use the restroom while you do that.
Sure. Just to expand, yes. So after Jane dies in Valhalla, she returns as a Valkyrie. I did forget that it was Odin that is the one that brings her back. I don't remember the part about her not being able to lift Mjolnir.
Well, I think if they decide,
I don't doubt you. I 100% don't doubt you. Yes, it's been a while.
I think that if they decided to make a series or some movies with Jane and Valkyrie, just doing Valkyrie stuff, I would totally be down for that. I would watch that in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I 100% would. Because I think that there is something to be said for that girl power, especially in the MCU, not like the one that they did in Endgame, like she's not alone.
Oh yeah.
Or in Infinity War, like we're together. Like that's not it. That's not the journey that I think that will inspire young women. But what you're talking about, I definitely think it will, because it's this buddy cop where you see people like saving the world just as friends, you know?
Yeah, and like that, I
sisters.
I love that scene. Like I said, like when they're getting ready to leave, and Valkyrie sees the destruction that Jane has wreaked in the bathroom, and you do get this sense of like it is girl power. Like I loved when she's like, "Are you packed and like ready to go or whatever?" And then they tap their weapons, and it's like this cool little moment, and it was a kind of girl power moment, but it didn't feel like
it felt like
forced.
warriors.
Yeah, it was just like, yeah,
exactly.
Friends, let's go.
Like exactly, like friends.
Like, oh, is that a grenade? Oh no, it's a speaker. Let's dance. Like, I loved it.
Yeah, I loved all of that. The one thing that I wanted to say about in terms of like the end between like Love and Thor.
Yeah.
I really wish they would have reversed. I feel like they made a choice. The whole movie is like Thor telling Stormbreaker, I don't choose Mjolnir over you. You're my weapon of choice and blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, she's got Stormbreaker and he's got Mjolnir. I really would have loved to seen it reversed, as if like Love is going to continue the journey that Jane had started as the mighty Thor. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I guess that then that would also imply that Love is worthy, which I suppose if you're Love, then you ought to be.
You ought to be.
Yeah.
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 I never thought about it like that. That's a very interesting point. Like in terms of like the concept of the rules of Mjolnir,
yeah.
which is like, yeah, but she painted it.
That's true.
She was holding it up,
she is.
So,
that's right. You're absolutely right. She must, unless
she must be worthy.
Yeah.
How did Gorr know about what he needed to do? What, like when Jane goes in and she sees all the drawings on the wall, like a cave painting?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How did Gorr know to do all that?
I'm assuming the sword told him.
Yeah.
The sword
probably.
told him everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sword talks to
him. Because the sword was talking to him.
We need more backstory on that fucking sword. We didn't get any backstory on that sword in the movie.
Yeah,
I
didn't do the research on the sword, which is interesting given the fact that because we have and I'm losing his name, who Kit Harington plays.
Oh yes.
We have that one and we have that sword. So I was like, I need a little more. I'm like you. I needed a little more info on the sword. And I kind of forgot to look that up.
Roy4114. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were finished.
No, I was done.
Roy4114 says, what did you like better, Thor 4 or Doctor Strange 2? I personally like Thor Love and Thunder way better than Doctor Strange 2.
I'm going to go with Love and Thunder.
I thought Thor was much better. It's like, it might be a lot of jokes, and it might have plot holes in it, but it's definitely way more cohesive of a story to me, because it was like a clear vision that I could follow. Even though I disagreed with some of it,
yeah.
I thought the vision was much clearer than Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
You know, that is a interesting question. For me, this is a conversation between the villains, because Christian Bale and Wanda pretty much had the same storyline.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
For the same movie, for the movie that comes out immediately after Doctor Strange, and they're both following this villainous path based on the loss of a child, or in her case, 2 children. So I felt like, I guess I would too have to go with Love and Thunder, just because I feel like he had a better arc.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd have to go with Love and Thunder as well.
Serenity Q26 says, how does Gorr know? Answer, the movie doesn't tell us. So we don't know. More proof to my point. The movie's not fleshed out well.
I mean,
the
god that he killed in the beginning was like, it did give a little bit of an explanation. You know, there was a little bit of an explanation there where they're like, oh no, the sword chose him. The sword, it allows us. And then they talk about, oh, the Necrosword is this like infamous sword that can kill gods.
We needed a scene of him talking to the sword. We needed more scenes with Gore the God Butcher.
Okay, yes.
Well, the sword was I agree. The sword did talk to him in the beginning, and then didn't talk again, right?
You could kind of hear this like background female voice that was kind of like whispering to him.
We needed more of that. We just needed more of that. We needed to see him in that sword alone. Kind of like
Thor and Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. Did he need to give him a beer?
Sure.
Yeah.
That's an act. Since they established it, I support that plan because you established that the weapons having a relationship.
Because we get scenes with this is not the MCU, but in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, we got scenes with Green Goblin talking to himself in the mirror, and I feel like
schizophrenic.
I feel like it helps though. It helps us to understand like everything going on with him more, to stay connected to that character's motivations. Whereas here, Christian Bale is often off screen, and everyone's afraid. I'm like, I don't know why y'all are as afraid as you are, because we're not seeing much of him. You know?
Right, and I guess there's no like flashbacks or explanations of the infamy of the sword.
Yeah. Mr. Downtown. MCU has evolved from earthly problems to cosmic problems. Are we now expecting more gods to be Avengers? Someone would need to face Arishem at the end. Go ahead, Court.
Well, here's that question, because wasn't there like when we were in that cave where the kids were, which I loved the kids. I'm sure y'all already talked about that. But there was a head that kind of fell that reminded me a bit of Arishem. Was that was the scene, right?
Oh, where he comes out with that
cylinder head, and it has like 6 little eyes. Like it looked like a celestial.
Yes, when they were in eternity, or
no, not in eternity. There was a statue once in one of the scenes, and I can't remember where it was. There was a statue head that fell.
Yeah,
and I remember turning to I think it was either you or Jaby, and I was like, isn't that a celestial?
Yeah,
and,
I vaguely remember that. Yeah,
it would have been at eternity when Thor stops the kids from getting killed.
Yeah, I thought that was it. Yeah.
What about it?
In terms of the question, which was, are we going to get more gods and more like celestials and things like that? Is he going to fight Arishem? That was the question, right?
Well, he's saying, are we expecting more gods to be Avengers? Someone would need to face Arishem at the end.
I think yes. I think we're moving towards this. There seems to be a lot of celestial entities involved. We're getting less and less humans and more.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess
even Shang-Chi has we haven't established where those rings came from.
Hold up. Wizardlande. He says Lena Headey was paid $7 million and got cut from this.
Wow.
Yes, that is correct.
That is true?
Get that money, girlfriend.
Yeah, Yeah. That was a thing, and I was really upset. I was like, "Who is she supposed to be? And why wasn't she there?"
What was she paid for? A holding fee?
For her work.
She filmed, and didn't get to, and it was on the cutting room floor.
Wow.
So I want to know who she was supposed to be.
Hold on, something funky is going on here. Let me see. Let me change out the thing here so you guys can see what I'm seeing. Why isn't this showing up? Let me fix that real quick. Is that working? There we go. So it says $1.5 million lawsuit against Lena Headey confirms Thor: Love and Thunder role and $7 million paycheck.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lena Headey doesn't appear in Thor: Love and Thunder, but the actor finds herself in the news because of the movie. Can I do this? Is it gonna allow me to? There we go. Come on, go away, ad. Thank you. The 300 and Games of Thrones star was one of the highest paid actors on the HBO show, but now her former talent agent claims she owes them commission fees. The agency's lawsuit confirms Headey acted in the latest Thor movie, though her part didn't make the final cut, and she's not the only one.
Wow.
Yeah.
She owes agency fees. Headey has remained plenty busy since Game of Thrones ended its run. The British actor has appeared in numerous TV series and movies since the show ended in 2019, and she has one of the most successful post-Game of Thrones careers of anyone from the show. Still, her former talent agency claims Headey needed to pay her commission fees. As Variety reported, UK agency Troika sued Headey for $1.5 million in damages for unpaid commission fees. The suit alleges Headey owes $300,000 for her 2022 movie 9 Bullets and $650,000 for the TV series Rita, which never moved beyond the pilot stage. Part of that $1.5 million includes $500,000 for Thor: Love and Thunder, which Variety reports is 7% of her fee for the film. That would put her paycheck at around $7 million for the fourth Thor movie.
Wow.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. I did read that article. Yeah.
That's wild.
I wonder who else we lost. Just it's really cool to know that Thor's son was played the one of the younger versions of him, and then the fact that Love was played by his actual daughter. Like, that's cool and all, but I'm like, who else did we lose?
Amit Bandi. Thor, he has lost a lot. DS movie. This movie was trying to give him a flicker of happiness in the form of Jane, and again, it was taken away. Jaby, you want more loss from him? I mean, yeah, he lost at the end. That was great, yeah.
I just want loss.
Going through his movies, it's crazy how much he's lost. I feel like he's lost more than any other MCU character. Like,
agreed.
So many of his family members have been killed off.
When you live to be 1,500 plus, though, I assume you've probably gone through a lot of loss, and especially if you hang out with humans, you're going to go through a lot of loss.
Yeah.
But he didn't really...
Yeah, that's why I thought that his scene with Lady Sif, like that reunion, should have been a little bit more...
meaningful? Powerful?
Yeah, a little bit more powerful, because it's like, I didn't know where you were.
Yeah. In this movie, he didn't really lose anybody, though. Because even Jane, when he lost her, she's still alive. So did he really lose her? If we know he's going to get her back, then is it really a loss?
It's a loss for him, though, because he doesn't know that.
But she comes back in the end credits.
Not to him. She comes back to Valhalla. She gets off the boat.
It just loses its gusto for me when I see the character back already.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree with you there.
Yeah.
But it is that moment of like because he becomes a parent right away. Like even Jane saying like, she won't be alone, and Thor accepting this responsibility now of being a father. Like, it's like when one half of a couple dies, like you still have to be present for the children. Yeah. So I think what may have hurt the sensation of his loss is because the next time we see him, he's like making pancakes or pan flaps for this little girl. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like he's okay, even though we have to know he's not really okay.
Let me get these supers real quick. There's one last super here. Mike Sanchez, do you think it is worth watching in 3D? Thanks. We actually watched it the second time in 3D because it was the only way to get seats last minute. Good seats anyway. And it was fine in 3D. I didn't really experience much of a difference in terms of like connection with the film. I think that if I was watching something like Doctor Strange in 3D, that would have been a different or at least the first Doctor Strange. That would have been a different experience in 3D. This one didn't really warrant or necessitate a 3D watching.
It felt like I was watching it in 2D.
Yeah.
I actually have not seen it a second time yet, but my tickets that I have for Monday are in 3D. And I will say 4DX helped Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I liked seeing it in 3D and with the 4D environment. It made it a much better movie.
Okay.
That sounds fun, actually.
Shope Khan says, I connected with Wanda more than Gorr because we know her backstory more than Gorr. I felt, that's interesting you say that, because I felt more of a connection to Gorr than I did to Wanda in Multiverse of Madness.
Because he was justified. His daughter was actually real.
Yeah. I was a little bit thrown in Multiverse of Madness, to be honest, because she was full-blown maniacal bad guy, like murdering people that were good people. And I'm like, this lady just a few movies ago was on the good guy side trying to vanquish villains, and now she's destroying so many innocent lives. I'm like, this
with no remorse.
With no remorse at all. With no nothing. No regret. No, maybe I shouldn't have done that at all. Yeah. And at the end of the movie, there's no accountability for that at all.
There's no accountability. Yeah. And at the end of the day, her reasoning, other than the fact that she was controlled by the Darkhold, it doesn't make sense. Why is she chasing these phantom children instead of actually looking for the husband who's out there with no memory?
Yeah, right?
What are you doing? It doesn't you ruin this character that you spent 9 episodes of a TV series redeeming. Mm-hmm. Understanding her grief, you redeemed her, and then you destroyed her again.
Afro, I don't know how to say this. Afros says they cut 2 scenes of Gorr with the Grandmaster and Dimitri. Do you think him going to killing Grandmaster and going to Dimitri to ask about Stormbreaker ability to summon the portal? I don't really understand the question. Do you understand the question?
Can you repeat the question? Because I think I do.
They cut 2 scenes of Gorr with the Grandmaster and Dimitri. Do you think him going to kill Grandmaster and going to Dimitri to ask about the Stormbreaker's ability to summon the portal? I think he's asking what we think.
What
of
do
that.
you think?
Yeah.
Do it? Yes, I do think that would have helped, because that was a question for me: is how did he know that Stormbreaker would have that character, that ability? Because I do think that there was this. Oh, Christian Bale talked about the fact that there was a scene between him and Peter Dinklage, who played Eitri, that was cut, and that he was really disappointed that scene didn't make it. So there was that, it was in there. It just didn't make the cut. And I think that maybe not the Grandmaster. That just would have been him showing us that he can kill gods again. But the scene with Eitri, I do think that was necessary, because I never understood how he figured it out.
Arjun asks, do you think they should have showed the after effects of a god dying in the world? Thoughts?
That would have been interesting, actually, because then it's like, okay.
Yeah, we were told we didn't see anything.
Yeah, what's the significance of the gods, and what is their effect on the world? Like, do they have any effect at all? That's a good question.
Well, we did kind of see that in the sense of that whole scene with the Guardians, because those people were under attack because their gods had been destroyed and there was no one to defend them from these villains. So I think that was the effect that the only actual effect that we were given as the audience, and it didn't seem out of character that 2 warring factions would be at war. So it didn't seem like there was a huge imbalance.
Yeah, because that's just life.
But it's hard to register that because we didn't actually see what the god was doing before that battle happened.
Mm-hmm.
Probably nothing, given the fact that all the other gods that we saw in that film were just chilling, drinking, and hanging around,
wanting to participate in orgies.
Somehow they knew. Somehow those people knew on that planet. Somehow they knew that their god had died, had perished.
Yeah.
Somehow they got that message. It's like, okay, but how? Like, but what happened? We didn't see the effect of that at all. It was sort of just off camera. 39.
Can I tell you what god I was missing? Oh, go ahead. Nope, go ahead.
39 Bosky says, I think feeling that Jane came back too soon is slightly off. She died reaching her final resting place, which for her was Valhalla. She reached the place that Gorr was denied by his foolish god.
Huh?
Sure.
She reached the place that Gorr was denied by his god. Well, we don't know, because that's Valhalla is the Asgardian quote unquote heaven.
Yeah.
Elysium is the Greek quote unquote heaven. We don't know what his paradise would have been.
Would have looked like.
Like, in theory, I feel like he did reach the paradise, like that oasis that he sees. That in theory was his god's heaven, and he reached it. Yep. It's just the god didn't care.
Yeah, the god's like, you're not welcome here anyway, so like, piss off.
Rolex, sir, thank you for your super. I don't know what you were trying to say, but I appreciate it. Utkarsh Dikshit says, your views on screen time given to Guardians of the Galaxy compared to marketing of the movie. I mean, the Guardians of the Galaxy were there to get your butt in the seat.
You called it too.
Yeah, like from the trailer, you could tell that they were going to exit the film fast. Like they weren't, it's not their movie. It's
like,
I didn't miss them.
Yeah, I noticed that so many of them didn't actually even have lines. They were just there, just standing around. It was
more of a cameo.
It was Rocket and Peter Quill that had lines, and then I forget her name, but the one with the Mantis. That's right. She had a line where she just had to make a funny sound. She's like, ah, ah, ah.
I thought Gamora was cool.
Yeah, Gamora was great.
Yep. You know who else was great? Loki.
Yeah.
Loki was great.
Loki was wonderful.
I think they mistreated the subject. I was waiting for someone to say this. Roy4114 says, I think they mistreated the subject matter of cancer. The emotional, serious moments were undermined by silly jokes.
Agreed.
I mean, you kind of talked about that a bit.
Yeah.
With how she was like trying to shake the.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this earlier, so for those of you that missed it, what bothered me a lot was Jane is there getting treatment, right? And she is anxious to get back to her studying or whatever, her research, and she shakes the bag of the stuff that's being fed into her body, and it's like, why? What smart person would ever do that?
Yeah.
She's shaking it in order to make it go faster.
That's stupid.
Yeah, but still.
But people do, like, when there's a bag of saline or anything that's dripping, like, I agree with you, it's stupid. But the nurses usually squeeze it in order to see if it's dripping, because I think that was her trying to like see if she could make it drip faster. Really, she should have been toggling the little button, which is what changes the drip factor. Mm-hmm. So rather than do that, was just a lack of awareness. I don't think that it was really. Yeah, but you're right. It was there for the comedic moment. It didn't make sense.
Yeah, I kind of hated it. But
yeah, respect.
But as far as how they're treating cancer in the film, I feel like we've seen cancer portrayed serious in so many movies. I don't think it's like offensive to cancer to show it kind of in a joking manner in general. It's just that joke didn't work for me.
And I guess it's just kind of, every individual approaches their healing and recovery in a different way, and so she was just trying to get through it by figuring out how to cure it with more research, and so it was important for her to get back and do that, because clearly the chemo was not working. She's going to be the one to
and she was decided that she was going to be the one to cure cancer. No one else had, but she was going to do it.
I forgot to mention in the stream how much I loved Mighty Thor's hammer. I
loved it.
I thought it was so cool, like the way it breaks apart and comes back together, and like the way she destroyed some villains with it, because I think she stuck the rod inside a monster's mouth, and then it reassembled and destroyed the monster. I thought that shit was dope.
That was amazing. I agree.
Yeah,
that was my favorite. That was my favorite of the weapons. Just the fact that it could get so many more targets than just like either hitting the ground or like flying and punching one person and coming. Like it legitimately took out an entire army. When that happened, I lost my mind in the theater. I was like, oh my God.
It was really cool.
How did you feel about Melissa McCarthy? Someone had just mentioned that they loved Melissa McCarthy
as Hela
in
the play within the movie.
I could have done with less of them. I think they stole screen time. I mean, I think to see her come out as Hela, it didn't help that I already knew beforehand that she was going to be Hela. So that.
How'd you know that?
I read in the IMDb facts. When I realized I got to the point where it was giving more information than I needed, I stopped reading. But so when I saw her come out, I was like, I just felt like I was glad she wasn't there in that second scene with them when they were like, oh, that is a joke that I thought fell flat. Let's make a new movie. These people are like mourning the loss of their kids. And here you have these like insensitive actors, like we're going to make a movie about what just happened 30 seconds ago. Yeah. That was too far. I didn't need that.
Yeah. It was a little bit much.
I didn't like Melissa McCarthy.
I know you didn't.
I don't know. Something about her rubs me the wrong way. Something about her just bugs me. I think it's because I don't know if it's like a self-aware thing. Like she thinks she's funny. I think there's something there that just bugs me, and I can't figure it out. But as soon as she showed up, my eyes rolled in the back of my head. I'm like, this is dumb.
You fell over.
I would have rather had someone else. Like, because I think it might be because she's known to be a comedic actress, right? And so she's playing it as such. Whereas Matt Damon's not known to be a comedic actor. He's just an actor. And so...
Yeah, same with all the other ones in the scene.
Yeah, Sam Neill. Like, I would have rather than had a serious actor playing it for laughs as opposed to a comedic actor.
Judi Dench. Amazing.
You know who I would have loved? Julia Roberts. Because she can be funny, but she also does, like, a serious thing. I think she would have been hilarious.
That would have been great.
That would have been cool.
Arjun Rao says, was Zeus's attire, miniskirt, was that comic accurate or just another joke? I don't...
It's a toga.
Is that comic accurate?
He's supposed to be in a toga.
I thought that shit was like hilarious. Like when he slides, when he slides over and he picks it up to walk down the stairs. I thought that shit was great.
I liked it.
It tickled me.
But like that type of outfit is what Greek warriors would have worn. They did wear that. So they like Taika Waititi was just making fun of the fact that he's got a little skirt. Like how would he walk down? I thought that tickled me too. Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, it was technically a toga. So, like, that's anytime you see, even in Roman attire, like, the men still wore those, like, togas that kind of look like dresses.
I wonder if it's like when Scottish people wear kilts. I wonder if they wear underwear under there. Or if it's like a free ball situation where you're just like, check out my power. Ka-cha!
Oh,
I feel like there's a difference, like when you're in battle and when you're just like hanging around with your pals. I feel like they are free balling when they're just hanging around. They got to be wearing something when they're in battle. That just can't work out right.
Flopping around.
Serenity Q26 says, Courtney, get out of my head. I was just going to say Julia Roberts for hella lol. Zeus's lightning bolt seemed like a toy. You know, I'm glad you said that, Tay or Durong.
Yes.
When I first saw the lightning
Me
bolt,
too.
I did think it looked kind of fake. There was something about it that just had this sort of plastic appearance to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I enjoyed what they did with it. I thought it was neat, the ideas, but I think that the texture or whatever of the actual prop just looked fake to me. So
Agreed.
I wish it did a better job there.
They should have made it glow a little bit more, like it had a natural glow that was sustained throughout the entire time it was on screen. And it just, otherwise, it's like, okay, that's product placement. There's clearly going to be a Zeus toy that's sold at Christmas time. So,
Yeah.
Ty Kroner. Was Gorr a wasted villain? Bale was amazing.
It was amazing.
He was amazing.
To some degree, I maybe he was wasted. To some degree, I feel like we could have used more development time with him, just more scenes with him in general. I think would have been stronger. I think it's kind of sad that we didn't get more for all the development he put into that character.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would have been cool. Like he's like the Joker to Batman in some ways. Like he's just a cool villain, you know, who steals the show.
He has a purpose. He had a mission. Like it wasn't just like he was. This is what I told you. I think when we were talking about it before, is that he, like Thanos, he's the first one. After Thanos, that legitimately had they believed their cause was just. That he thought he was protecting humanity by removing these powerful forces that, control their lives for no reason. Yeah. So his mission was just, unlike Wanda, who her mission was just crazy, like the Joker, crazy.
Yeah, totally. Sorry, we're just getting the music back. There we go. The audio is popping in and out because of that sound. Let's see. So I did a poll on the goats. I asked, how did you feel about the goats? 30% didn't mind. 29% liked it. 24% loved it. 15% hated it.
I love the goats.
I think I'm part of the liked. I liked it. You hated it?
I thought they were useless.
I heard you laughing. I remember you laughing when they crashed into Gorr's planet, into his Mario Galaxy planet. Like you busted up laughing.
Time.
No, that was
every time after. No,
that was the second to last time. It was because they were like trying to find Gorr and they just like straight up crashed into it because there's no atmosphere at all, and they go ah, and you just busted up.
They're screaming. Okay, I'll say I hated their screaming.
But that's what made you laugh.
Their screaming.
That's what made you laugh, though.
Okay, well I have to revisit.
Yeah.
When I go and see it again, and I will let you know. But as of right now, like my memory now, I'm like, I hate those dudes.
I just remember you laughing at that one moment. I was like, dang, Courtney likes the goats. She likes the goats more than I do.
Half the time I was laughing at the goats because I'm like, oh, this is stupid. Like, why are they on? Like, this is a lot. That was a lot of my laughter. Like, I think I turned to you at one point. I was like, what is this movie doing?
Well, you said that when Valkyrie and Korg were talking, and it was around that scene. I remember that was the scene where you felt that when they were riding towards Gorr's planet. That's when you had expressed that. I don't know what you were saying it to. It was something about. It was something about one of the jokes being done in that scene that you didn't like. It might have been when Thor poured beer on Stormbreaker.
Yes. That might have been. That was definitely it. That was definitely it because I was like, really?
Yeah.
This is what we're doing. This. Okay.
WTF, Jordan. Thank you so much for your generous super. Really appreciate it. What do you think about the Living Tribunal that was in the Giant Hall? Will they have a part in the future? Also, was Eternity downplayed in terms of power?
I don't know if Eternity downplayed.
Courtney knows more about the comics than I do. I don't know about how Eternity's portrayal versus the comic book portrayal.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Some people have asked why Thor didn't make a wish when he got to Eternity, and my impression is that it's whoever got there first, like a race.
That's what they said. They legitimate. That's what either Zeus or Valkyrie, when they were explaining eternity.
Yeah.
I thought that's what they said is whoever gets there first. And so technically Gorr got there first. So there was never going to be an option for Thor to make a wish.
Serenity Q26 says the first 10 seconds of the screaming was funny and that's it, lol. But yes, stupid. There are two types of stupid: annoying stupid and laughable stupid. This was mostly funny stupid.
Yeah.
I think the problem for me is that the goats kept screaming in the ship with the Guardians, and it just kind of oversaturated me. It was better when they were out and attached to a ship and had a usefulness.
Yeah. But
like when they were just screaming pointlessly, I was like, if you don't stop those goats right now, you're hurting my ears. It could have also been the Dolby sound.
Yeah. Although it did set up for that fun joke where he's like, oh, well, if anything, if it doesn't work out, we can always use them for meat. And then they shut up. And then he's like,
yeah,
meeting people. Like, okay. You're just going to eat us?
I actually missed that joke the first time I watched the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, why
You
did
were
they?
just distracted.
Why did they shut up? Because I just heard the screaming and I was a little bit like kind of thrown by
Yeah,
that.
you get scared of loud noises. Yeah.
repeated loud noises. It's just like, oh man. I hate it.
Nitish Anand asks, if Stormbreaker was the key to eternity, then how did anyone have access before the Stormbreaker existed in Infinity War?
Well, Heimdall had access to the Bifrost, did he not? I mean, it's
I
not
imagine
Stormbreaker, it's the Bifrost.
Yes, because like Stormbreaker took over the role that Heimdall's sword, or
Yeah.
I feel like wherever Heimdall's sword ended up, that also could have probably opened the gate.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Marathon Man? No. There's a scene in Marathon Man where Laurence Olivier is interrogating Dustin Hoffman, and he says, "Is it safe? Is it safe?" over and over again, like, "Is it safe?" And that line stuck in my brain, like, "Is it safe?" And so here, Christian Bale keeps saying, "Call the axe," like over and over and over again, and I feel like that's got to become something that people say like as a joke to each other, like, because he says it like at least 20 times in the movie. Call the axe. I don't know how you'd use it in colloquial conversation, but I feel like it could totally make its way into just like regular convo. I don't know. I just thought I'd bring that up because it was in my mind. Introduction, exit. I don't know. Somehow, some way, some shape, and form. Y'all are improv artists. Come on. How would we use it?
I don't know. I was looking ahead at the other questions.
Do you feel? Well, what was the question that you saw?
No.
Okay. Do you feel Thor destroying the old temple is foreshadowing him becoming a new god leader?
I don't know.
In the beginning,
yeah,
the temple for the people that he was supposed to save.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I don't know what he's asking about.
I don't think so.
That's the only. I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so either.
Harshad, thoughts on lesser consequential problems in which, even if it gets out of hand, a simple group up of the heroes can solve it?
Thoughts on lesser consequential?
Yeah,
I think it's just talking about in general how there's less tension in the films.
Yeah.
There's less.
Well, yeah, there was more levity.
Yeah. Utkar Dikshit says, specific thoughts on VFX in the movie. Your best take from the VFX side. I thought that in general the VFX was pretty good. There were some moments though where characters were jumping up and swinging down either with a hammer or with Stormbreaker, and it looked like a cartoon to me. But admittedly, there was only like 3 moments like that. But when it happens, it just kind of jumps out at me like I'm watching a film from the early 2000s. Other than that, I thought the VFX was fine. Like we mentioned a moment ago, I thought that the lightning bolt could have been better, but that's more of a prop thing than anything else. I suppose VFX could have enhanced it to make it look cooler, but it looked like a toy.
I think most like the visuals were actually really great in this movie. I just like the way it looked. A lot of the scenes, I guess they kind of felt like maybe they were pulled straight from like the comic strips, because they kind of had that feeling, like especially when Thor like leaps up with Stormbreaker and you see him coming down, and it's like the shadow or whatever, the silhouette of him coming down, it looks super cool in that like wide shot, and all that stuff in the Shadow Realm looked awesome.
So Serenity Q26 says, call the axe can be a meme. Your fiance's having dinner with her ex who she almost married. Call the ex. I thought that was great.
That's pretty funny.
That's funny.
That's pretty funny.
Agrophile, if Thor can give his power to others, why didn't he give his power to others or the whole Wakandan army?
Avengers.
Or whole, other Avengers or whole Wakandan army or whole Endgame army earlier. Everything seems so pointless in the movie. So the reason why he couldn't do it, I think, is because it was a special power with Zeus's lightning bolt. He couldn't do that with Stormbreaker or with Mjolnir. He could only do that with Zeus's lightning bolt.
Did he do that with Zeus's lightning bolt?
Yes, all the kids have powers.
No, I know that all the kids got powers, but was it the lightning bolt?
It was,
Yes.
yeah. Because Stormbreaker was being used to open up eternity.
It also might have been that.
Oh, that's right.
It also might have been tied to the fact that they're Asgardians, and they're like mini gods
Yeah,
themselves.
it's not. That's
like, what I thought.
It's not properly explained, but yeah, maybe.
I do think it's the whole Asgardian thing.
Yeah. Mr. Downtown.
He deemed them worthy.
Mr. Downtown. Did you see the Bat Tumbler Easter egg in the first battle?
What?
The Bat Tumbler Easter egg?
No, I did not.
No.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I don't know what the Bat Tumbler is. I would like more information, so when I go back, I'll look for it.
Lovepreet Singh Sutar, who's a member, says, did you like the movie?
Yeah.
I really liked it. Achara loved it.
Yes.
Courtney was all right by it.
That's okay.
Yeah. This
I had fun.
The whole gamut. Arjun V. Rao says, where is Gamora? Who is Gamora? Why is Gamora? WTF Jordan, thank you for your other super, your generous super just now. I would have loved to have seen some more of the fights with Gorr versus gods. Me too.
Yeah,
no way
me too.
No way he just one-tapped all of them. I think PG-13 cap will need to go someday. I don't think the PG-13 cap needs to go. I disagree with that, but I do agree that we needed to see more of Gorr versus gods, because we saw like one at the beginning, and then we saw a slain god, which is Thor's friend. We didn't know like why that god was important to Thor. We just knew it was a friend. That's it.
He was nice.
Yeah,
he was supposedly nice.
Yeah.
He was supposedly a nice guy.
We should have seen something of that. Like, instead of just him dead, we should have seen like like something.
Yeah.
Nice.
We should have seen him being nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like to your point earlier, that all of the gods seemed like jerks, and that like no one really cared about their people.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to see a god actually fighting on behalf of his people.
He should have been like what's his name from Neverending Story?
Oh yeah.
What's the name of that dog? The big dog from Neverending Story?
I don't remember.
You know, to be honest, and people are gonna come for me, I have never seen the Neverending Story.
Oh my gosh.
What? Okay.
Never-ending Story dog.
We'll fix that, because I don't remember the movie very well.
Falkor.
Yes.
Falkor.
Falkor.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a dragon,
Yes.
not a dog.
Looks like a dog, though.
See, I didn't even know. I didn't read the books. I didn't know anything.
But anyway, thank you, WTF Jordan. So yeah, I think they could have shown more. Like, you look at Multiverse of Madness. They were pushing that PG-13 envelope pretty hard. You know,
They sure did.
It's all about that Overton window. I'm gonna keep using that phrase. It's all about the Overton window. The Overton window is what is socially acceptable, and there's a certain degree of violence in Multiverse of Madness that would have made that movie rated R just a few years ago. Just like 10, 20 years ago, that would have been rated R. So
it definitely would have been regular PG, not like PG. No, I'm sorry. The other way. Yes, you were right. Rated R.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got confused.
But anyway, yeah, they could have had a Falkor moment with Thor's friend, and we see that it's like a cool dog god or something, and then it gets taken out. You know.
Yeah.
To be honest, I would have liked to have Multiverse of Madness get an adult rating to prepare us for. They better give us in Deadpool 3, which is going to be rated R.
Gotcha.
It better be. Yeah.
It better be, or I'm not going.
And Blade, come on now.
I'm lying. I'll totally go.
But yeah, but like I agree. I agree with WTF Jordan in that we just needed to see more, and I think they could have shown us a certain degree of violence. I mean, even within Thor: Love and Thunder, there was violence I wasn't expecting, and no one seems to be like cringe or freak out about it. Maybe because we're so overexposed to violence now. But there's a moment where the hammer's coming towards Thor and goes through a monster. And you literally see this monster break apart into blood.
Yeah.
Like, it's quite violent. And it's in slow motion, so it's emphasized. And it's PG-13. So I'm like, if you can show me that, you can show me a little bit more with, Gorr fighting gods and gods getting slain.
Well, even with this, even with the scene with the kids, there were certain moments where I was like, oh, slightly gory with the children, but it's fine. Like, somehow, I guess because it's not, they're monsters and they don't have like real blood in a way, you can get away with doing that.
I think
especially they did it with like little rabbits and stuff. Like, and he powered up, their superpower was like a rabbit, and the little girl's hair got crazy.
Yeah.
How do you think the tone would have been if some of the kids got killed in that battle?
You can't kill the kids, man.
Why not?
Can't.
No.
You can't kill the kids. I think the kids were honestly kidnapped for far too long. This is
why we needed a Korean director.
Yeah.
Because he would have straight up killed some of those kids.
Yeah. Been like, they didn't make it. They didn't make it.
Yeah. I don't think that was gonna happen.
But to what you were saying, I actually thought it was kind of cool, the design of the cage for what was keeping the kids hostage.
Yeah.
To me, it almost looked like a bedtime story thing, like an old like Sleeping Beauty or something like that, or
like a Grimm's fairy tale,
like a Grimm's fairy tale thing. Yeah, I really thought that the design was super cool. It gave me those kinds of vibes.
Yeah.
Like a fairy tale.
It felt dangerous. Yeah. Not like Disney fairy tales, but like the legit super scary
old traditional
fairy tales, which were terrifying.
Yeah.
I did like the way he made a political statement without making a political statement about like empowering the kids in cages, in terms of what happened with the kids that were separated from their parents here and put in detention. Like that was a political statement without actually hitting you in the face with it. Same with the whole same with the whole Dr. Jane Foster, when she said when he calls her Lady Thor, initially I was super excited because I was like, because that's what she's called in the comics.
Yeah.
And then when she came back and she said, I'm Mighty Thor or I'm Dr. Jane Foster, but don't call me Lady Thor. Because that's the whole throwback to the whole Dr. Jill Biden Twitter war situation. Gotcha. So I thought that it was very clever the way that he made comments without actually hitting you over the head with the fact that they were comments. Yeah.
Wizardlante. Amount of god butchering equals madness in multiverse. Wizardlante. Omnipotence guards were squirting blood like fountains because it was gold in color so they can show the god butchering to flesh out Gorr's impact. There you go. Yeah. Like, they could have easily shown it to us and it would have been fine.
Yeah, because even when he killed the first god, he had golden blood.
Yeah.
So
that's what I was gonna say. Shang-Chi, they killed a lot of people with those little demon bats and stuff that were coming out of the ether realm, like whatever it was called. Yeah. I think little kids died there. I don't know. I
don't remember if they killed any little kids. I don't remember if they killed any little kids, but like,
that's because we Asian, we don't care about little kids. Yeah. Die, kill them all.
More
food for everyone else.
He said they needed a Korean director because they would have killed all.
Well, no, because
he's Japanese, I think.
We watched a Korean film a long time ago, and we thought there was no way the little girl in the movie was gonna die, and she died, and we were just like, what the? This would never happen in an American movie. Yeah. They wouldn't just kill the child. Yeah. It's like, no, even the child's not safe.
Yeah.
Dead.
Straight up.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, because the thing about it is, with empowering the kids and all that was cool and it was fun, but it took away all tension from that scene.
Yeah.
There was literally no tension in that scene at all.
You knew they couldn't kill the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew they weren't because they were too cute.
Yeah.
And it was fun to watch them win.
But like, there needed to be a certain degree of peril that I experienced for them, which I didn't get. Like, I got more peril for children in Jurassic Park than I did out of this. And Jurassic Park is like 30 years old. So, like when the dinosaur was like attacking the kids, you never saw that in movies before that. Like, that was new, Well, go ahead.
You know another reason why I knew that they were never in danger is because Gorr really loved his daughter. Like, those kids were never in danger. Like, he was never gonna actually kill those kids. That He just wasn't.
That's a good point, because I did kind of wonder, because them being Asgardian children, and like we were talking about how basically they're all kind of some form of lesser god or whatever. If he truly wanted to kill all gods must die. Therefore, the children must die too. But yeah, we got to see that soft side of him where he was like, I remember I knew a little girl once. Blah, 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 blah.
Serenity Q26 says, what? How could you? Time for a trio never-ending story watch along.
It'll happen. We'll make it happen.
I'm sorry.
We'll make Courtney sit here and watch Never-Ending Story with us.
Serenity Q26 also says, speaking of Korean cinema, I just watched The Handmaiden. Yeah, I'm late to the party, and it was so good. Park Chan-wook just can't make a bad film.
That's on my list, actually, to watch. I haven't seen The Handmaiden yet. But yeah, Park Chan-wook is amazing.
That sounds good.
Roy4114 says, damn shame the new Asgard set was demolished after shooting. They should have turned it into a theme park for visitors. Oh, that would have been cool.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, what? Say again?
Apparently it was demolished.
The new Asgard set?
Yeah.
They'll probably make it in, like, Disney World or something at Disney Adventures in the, whatchamacallit?
Florida somewhere.
The campus, the Avengers campus. Why not? Let's make a new Asgard.
Here's a question I have. Like I was saying, I was rewatching Ragnarok. Do we think that beautiful spot where Odin died from, is that where New Asgard is set?
Yeah.
Is it in Norway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Partha Chakraborty says, Marvel makes agenda documentaries now, not actual movies. Everything is a statement, is always on the nose. Phase 4 has gone berserk long back. So here's the thing. Movies have been making statements for a long time. This is not new. This is what has been going on for ages. I think we're just now noticing for some reason in conversation because, it's social media, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, all that stuff, ways that we can communicate and get information quicker and with more clarity than before. Because before it was just like you and your 5 friends or whatever, right? But now you've got access to the internet and you have thousands of friends or whatever. And so the information you can get from something and extract is different than it was before. And so our understanding and ability to dissect films is different than it was before. But movies have always had messages. Like you look at Star Wars, it's always had messages and quite on the nose as well. Like George Lucas has not been shy about that whatsoever.
I also think it may have just been something that is new for Disney to actually, or Marvel to actually make not in the comics. In comics, they're always making statements. But I think the MCU, it's new for them to actually make a causey statement.
Yeah, but Marvel is like a good example of that though, because I had the VHS tape for X-Men when it came out. There was two VHS. There were 2 tapes that they sold that had a few episodes on it each. And at the beginning of each of those episodes, there were these round table conferences between 4 people, one of whom was Stan Lee, and they were talking about the origins of X-Men, why it was important, what they were going for. And the biggest thing that stuck out to me, that is quite obvious now as a grown-up, but I didn't know as a kid, is that it's about racism. Yeah, it's an analogy or allegory for racism. And I was like, oh wow. And so Marvel has been doing this since forever. It's been a thing since forever. And so to suddenly get angry about messages being in these Marvel franchises is kind of silly because it's always been there. You just don't like that it's there. So, I am shocked and amazed Jaby actually spelled my name right. Lol. Or I said it correctly, not spelled it right. Love you too, Achara and Jaby. Always enjoy watching your videos. Keep it up.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. It's not Gorr's character to kill kids. He just wants them to see their god wasted in front of them.
Just give them. I mean, they'll need therapy for sure.
Traumatizing nightmare.
But if they're gods as well, they would have died upon his wish being completed.
Probably,
right?
Yeah.
So
we don't need to see that. It's distressing for the children to watch children die in a movie.
I think I think we shield the kids too much. I still think that the toy should have gotten
killed.
I think the toy should have gotten killed at the end of Toy Story 3. That would have been great. I still feel that way.
Are you talking about that bear?
No, in Toy Story 3, when all the toys were going towards the incineration, the incinerator, they were holding hands, and then at the last second, the claw comes and saves them. I'm like, no, kill them, kill all the toys. I wanted the kids to walk out the theater crying and sobbing, just like me.
Oh my gosh, you're mean.
So Forrest, sometimes you gotta put kids through some shit. Like I remember watching Never-Ending Story. There's a scene I'm not going to ruin for you, but there's a heartbreaking scene in Never-Ending Story that's horrifying. And you're watching this as a kid and you're like, oh my god, like this is like a horror film.
I feel like
it's killing me.
I don't remember this movie at all. If I watch it again with Courtney, it'll be as if I've
You
never
guys are
seen
gonna
it.
cry hard at the scene I'm talking about.
I'm really excited for this watch along.
Yeah.
My brother has been ragging on me for years. Like, I can't believe you've never seen this movie. Like, you need to watch it. And I'm like, I just can't.
Oh wow, Agrophile said something interesting. He says Forrest Gump is a better Thor and Love and Thunder movie. Running in childhood, being dumb the whole movie, goes on to meet a lady suffering with cancer, getting responsibility of a child.
I mean,
Wow.
Jenny had
Well.
HIV, but yeah, about the same. Yeah,
That's crazy.
that is crazy.
But in Forrest Gump, it was actually his kid. In Thor: Love and Thunder, it's not actually his kid.
Yeah, which is like,
Well, it's not Thor's kid.
yeah,
It's Hemsworth's kid, though.
it's a big deal actually to be like, I feel like it's a big deal for a man to step up and be like, I'm gonna take on this other person's child, or anyone for that matter, actually.
Well, actually, for Thor, going back to everything that we talked about, of how much he has lost in terms of family, and given the fact that Odin did adopt Loki, it's really not. It's actually kind of on par.
Yeah,
for
that's
the
actually a
fact
good
that
point.
he would.
That's a good
It's
point.
actually on par.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sorry. How do you say this? Can you read this one?
Debaditya
Debaditya
Biswas.
Biswas. Thank you for your super. I don't know what you're trying to say, but thank you nonetheless. Just want to acknowledge you. I believe Black Panther 2 has to be a good one to revive struggling Phase 4. What do you guys think?
Oh, I mean, I hope it's a good one. I love the first Black
worried.
Panther.
I think all of the
worried.
concerns over Marvel becoming irrelevant or people having Marvel fatigue and all that stuff. I think all that's going to be put to rest once the newer Marvel films come out, like Ant-Man and the Quantumania, the Black Panther film. I feel like once those come out, it's going to set itself right again and be balanced again.
I think that once we figure out either A, who is the big bad, or what is the main through line as to like what they're either fighting for or against.
Mhm.
And I feel like we needed, at this point in the game, didn't we already have like Avengers 1? Like we had established, we had a certain amount of movies
Yeah.
that had been set up, and then we had a team up. So we understood there was a team and there was a mission and a plan. We have not had any talk of like when there's gonna be a team up and
Yeah.
what the plan is.
And we've
I
had-
feel like we just feel lost. I know I do.
We've had like apparently 55 plus hours of content through movies and shows in Phase 4 now, and we still haven't seen what the team up is and who the main big bad is. So yeah, in that sense, it's a little bit like, do you know what you're doing, Marvel? In
Yeah.
Marvel, we trust, but like, can you give us a clue?
Can we just be on the ride? I feel like we're like all waiting in the line for a roller coaster, and like they're like, okay, we're servicing the roller coaster. It's just gonna be like another 4 years, but just wait here.
Just chill.
Okay, but I mean,
Yeah.
is it gonna be soon?
Yeah, right?
I think it'll be
Yeah.
all right. I think it's fine.
I think we will. It's just,
I mean, there's been concern about Marvel fatigue for years now, and Marvel continues to make $1 billion
Marvel's
again
like,
and
nope.
again and again. I'm just like, yeah,
Oh yeah, I'm not worried about their paycheck.
yeah.
They're gonna get their money because we're all gonna show up. We can talk about it. It's like, I'm tired. Like, what are you doing? Okay, do you want how should I pay you?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, Marvel, I have a standing order for all your movies. I'm going to
Yeah.
watch all
Exactly.
of them. And if I don't like them, I'm going to complain. But I'm still going to be there in the first weekend and I'm going to watch them. So,
Let's see. Thor: Love and Thunder box office. Let's see how it's doing so far, because I heard it wasn't making quite as much.
oh, really?
It's
Say
first
I made
thing.
146.
First thing that
or
comes up.
143?
First thing that comes up is Let me see. Let me make this so you guys can see it. It says Thor: Love and Thunder nabs a mighty box office opening for Marvel. Immediately, is the first thing I saw. Box office: Thor 4 unearths $159 million overseas, $302 million globally. It's pretty strong. It's a pretty strong opening weekend.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not bad. Not bad.
You know, I mean, I think that Doctor Strange had way more, but that's still a really strong opening. So, I mean, what was the budget for Thor: Love and Thunder? 300 million?
I don't know.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
I don't know. I think
Like
that
it.
Doctor Strange had a lot of anticipation, given the fact that
Yeah.
WandaVision was so popular that they wanted to really see this continuation and where it was going to go. And then they got there and they were like, what? I feel like people went to go and see it again because I need to understand what just happened.
Oh, actually, okay, so I was right. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness had $450 million in its opening weekend. Right? Is that right? Or is it $185 million? I'm confused. I think, 185. I don't know. It's
185 may have been domestic, and then like
450 is the
450
global.
may have been global.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, Doctor Strange, I think, is more popular than Thor, even though he's newer.
So, Kaya Pati Bisoy wants to correct us. He says, Asgardians are not gods or demigods. Asgardian people have just extra strength than humans.
Ah. Well, anyway.
Okay.
I want to close this out. Just to say this once more, I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was a lot of fun. There were definitely plot holes or issues with some of the things that some of the execution in Thor: Love and Thunder, but overall I really enjoyed it. And having watched it twice, I can definitively say I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
Because I watched Multiverse of Madness twice, and I can definitively say I did not enjoy that movie. So I like Thor: Love and Thunder. I thought it was fun, and I'd watch it again. So I think it's a worthwhile film. Do I wish things were different? Yes, but overall, I thought it was cool. So
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this film, and definitely second round, same as you. I was like, still enjoy this movie. It has a lot of heart, and I enjoy the characters, and I was very happy to have another journey with them. And yeah, that's it. That's my
how
thought.
about you, Court?
I had fun. I really enjoyed Natalie Portman. I didn't think I would, and I was pleasantly surprised. I loved Christian Bale, and I had a good time. Valkyrie, like I think you and Syntell were saying, like she just became more and more vibrant as she was on the screen. You know what I mean? I kind of missed her in that final battle.
Yeah.
But I had fun. I think I don't know. I need to see it again. Maybe I'll understand what I didn't love it initially.
All right. So you guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Thank you to all the super chatters, regular chatters, people just hanging out, listening. Everybody in between, thanks so much for showing up and hanging out with us. That's it for now. Peace out.
Bye.